If you've ever been excited for Tariff Day, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We made it to the big day. It's here. We'll see what happens. We've got the schedule here for you today. 9 a.m. Eastern, Trump's convening with his council to finalize the initiative. 11:30, the press secretary is going to give us an announcement. And then at 4, Trump is going to lay out all of that stuff. So Tariff Day is upon us. April 2nd, 2025. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook is going to get you all ready starting right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope you all got rested up yesterday. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, tariff day, liberation day, whatever it is that you call it. Hopefully you're having a good morning here. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. Happy Tea Day. Indeed, Tea Day. It is. Reaching Financial Freedom. It's good to see you again. Welcome back. Ezrar, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, locked in. Let's go. Ed, welcome back. Good to see you again. Bernard, welcome back. Let's go. Hope you're ready. Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome back. Good to see you again. White Chocolate Mocha, locked in. Now we can start today with a white chocolate mocha. Let's go. Let's go, producer. Good morning. Good morning, Lion. Good morning, Peter. Peter, can't wait to have In-N-Out Burger. Again, I'll let you know when the next time I do that. Good to see you again. Dermolg, good morning. Welcome back. 3D, locked in. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Day Trader, locked in. Good morning. Let me know what you think about the crypto markets and how they might react to everything here today. Joe, NQ getting smoked. Good morning. NASDAQ is, in fact, leading the way down here, down just under 1%. Here this morning. Ralph, good morning. Quantum Vortex, good morning. Graph, good morning. Creation, good morning. And JJ, good morning. And good morning to everyone else that is lurking out there. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to start with the morning report here. Let me go ahead and share my screen for you. Boop. And here we go. All right. So we do have some economic events here today, but they all pale in comparison to the tariff announcement at 4. I guess oil and gas inventories at 9:30. As you can see, the market is under pressure here today, with the exception of gold, which is up fractionally just over the flat line there. SPY, Q, and Dow and small caps all down. Bitcoin down fractionally. Is it the calm before the storm? As far as some company events here, there are a couple here today. I don't know if any of these are going to really move stocks that we take a look at here, but AGI, EPD, ASO, ABSI, EPM all have conferences at some point here today. And then also, let's focus on the IPOs, right? How about the IPO yesterday? How about WTF? I part of me is still processing it. I can't believe that there was an IPO WTF on April Fool's Day, and then it went absolutely wild. Go figure. But here, there are some more IPOs here today. SZZL, there's also SZZLU for the units, but I think SZZL will be the main one. Top W, SMA, and OMSE. So if we think that we're going to see some more IPO theatrics here today, we'll be able to track all of these. Here are the IPOs that are listing today. We do have some earnings today. I think most notably in here is probably BlackBerry or Restoration Hardware. I can't remember. It was Robert, I believe, that was trading Restoration Hardware. Not sure if anyone's still in that, but those are probably the biggest earnings reports here today. We do have some analyst initiations here today as well. Buy rating here on NCNO, which is getting absolutely slammed. We'll take a look at that. That's one of the movers here today that's getting crushed. So some analyst initiations here. The big one is probably Sarepta. Their HC Wainwright has a neutral rating on it, but a $75 price target. Sarepta down about 0.5% here, and a couple of downgrades, but I don't think any of them are necessarily meaningful. We'll see how that shakes out here today. Let's go back to the SPY and take a look at where we're at. we're pretty much in the same area. We're still riding under that 20-day moving average. We've done a fairly decent job so far holding above the most recent bounce level. Remember, this 552 level that represents 10% pullback from the all-time highs. We've now bounced twice off of that, but this recent bounce, smaller than the first, and obviously running into some resistance here at the 20-day. All of this stuff is likely going to change at 4 when we figure out what's going on with all of the reciprocal tariffs and all of that. So a couple of key levels to watch here today prior to that. First one here is going to be the intraday low from yesterday. Old-fashioned in some ways. Intraday lows and previous intraday lows and previous intraday highs can sometimes make for some great trades. That actually did set up in CoreWeave yesterday, which we're going to take a look at here. But as far as the SPY goes, there are 2 of the levels that I'd be looking at here today is going to be this one. Let's call it 554 just for the round number. That would be your downside level representing yesterday's intraday low. And then on the upside here, we want to look at about 563. What happens if we test any of these ranges? If we break out from this or break down from this, where's the next spot? I think if we break down from this, we'd definitely be looking at 552. So if we break down from 554, 552 seems to be the next logical spot. I know it's only 2 points beneath, so we should be able to get that in some pretty short order. But this is kind of where we're at with the SPY. We'll see if we do get our next leg down post the announcement here, or we'll see if the removal of some of the uncertainty has a positive effect. Let me know what you folks are thinking is going to happen here today. Okay, we do have Tim Melvin here today. We're going to ask him about things and see if he's got any goodies for us maybe to hide in. But before then, let's talk about some of the different stocks that have some news here today. One of the big things that we're waiting for is going to be the Tesla deliveries. Tesla here under pressure in the pre-market, down 3% here. We've also taken a look at this recently. This has also kind of bounced off the 500-day, but currently sitting above it by about 17 points. See if we end up trading back down on this. We do have a story for this. So first quarter delivery figures from Tesla could be more anticipated than usual, given the intense concerns for demand amid boycotts and lower sales reported in regions in Europe. Tesla influencer Sawyer Merritt recently conducted a poll of followers on X for their predictions on how many vehicles Tesla will deliver in the first quarter. Here are some results. The estimate, by the way, consensus estimates from analysts compiled by Tesla for the first quarter deliveries is just shy of 380,000 units, 337,592. So we'll see if they're able to break that. It looks like most people think that they're going to be under. Looks like about 80% of people think, or 80% of the respondents, I should say, think that Tesla will not make that delivery number. The bigger question for me is how off is the delivery number from the actual estimate? And then how does the stock respond? I think we're all kind of expecting things to go down here today. So, of course, that sets us up for a contrarian bounce. We'll see if we end up getting that here. Those are due at some point today. I'm not sure exactly what time that is, but that is due here today. The let's see, Troy Teslike. It's an interesting name for someone that covers Tesla, who predicted Tesla deliveries and production figures, shared his final prediction for the quarter on X. Teslike predicts Tesla will have delivered 355,000 units in the first quarter, so that would be soft by about 22,000 units. On the prediction platform Kalshi, where users can wager on Tesla's delivery totals. Does anyone do that, by the way? Does anyone bet on any of these economic reports? Did you bet on the Supreme Court election? Do any of you guys actually do that? I know some of us have some overlap with gambling and trading. Just wondering if any of you bet on Kalshi or Polymarket. I don't, but I do follow some of those things. On Kalshi, the odds of 310,000 deliveries or more and 330,000 deliveries or more have odds of 95%. So it looks like, again, the majority of folks thinking that this is going to come in pretty light. Tesla reported first quarter deliveries of 386,800 last year. The electric vehicle company is likely to come under that figure to start 2025 and below analyst estimates, which could in part be due to the political push by Elon, which you all have been mentioning here. The company said it expects its vehicle business to return to growth in 2025, but it could start off on the wrong foot and be counting on a strong second half of the year, with catalysts ahead. Reports of lower than expected Tesla vehicles in regions in Europe have likely led to lower estimates, and in China, Tesla registrations could be picking up, according to a report from Teslarati. Love these names of these things that cover Tesla. Let's see. So there was another Benzinga recently polled readers on if they would buy a Tesla vehicle. Here are your results. Donald Trump recently bought a Tesla. How does that affect your view of Tesla? 53% saying I would never own one. 23% saying they're more likely. 14% saying they're less likely. I guess that figure surprised me. Of the, quote, undecided voters, more of them saying they're more likely to buy a Tesla. Not really sure why you choose your car based on political leanings, but that's just me. The poll may have some bad news for Tesla fans and investors, with the majority saying they will never own a Tesla vehicle. The good news is about those undecided voters. So what do you folks think? You think Tesla has, it's under pressure here in the pre-market. Are some of these lower expectations baked in? Is it possible that Tesla reports a higher number than most folks are anticipating, and that causes a rebound in the stock? Maybe they don't even have to beat the estimate in order for the stock to trade up. But let me know what you think here on Tesla. That is probably the big announcement of the day for in an individual stock here. Obviously, nothing is going to unseat the tariff announcement. Okay, next thing I want to talk about here is going to be CoreWeave, and I want to start with the chart, and I want to start with the trade. So we had talked a little bit about CoreWeave and its IPO and whether or not we trust it and all of that. I do not. I shared some quotes from a buddy who has kind of been watching this, but that doesn't mean that there isn't short-term or even day trading opportunities in CoreWeave. And one of the things we saw yesterday was better action here, at least from the pre-market, or at least early in the day. Obviously on IPO day, we dipped, we moved to the $42 high. We backed off that. The following day, fairly uneventful, but yesterday actually gave us a tradable setup. And this is what I mean when I was talking earlier about being old fashioned and watching previous intraday highs and lows. As we started to trade up here and the volume didn't really die off, sure looked like this 42 level was going to come into play again, and it sure did. So this little break to the upside here, a pretty decent break, actually gave 3 points. I actually ended up capturing 2 points. Took me about 2 hours to be like, oh man, probably should have stuck around that trade a little bit more as this thing ripped into the close. Now, the good news here is that it's actually holding in the pre-market here today, despite the relative weakness out there. So part of me thinks that CoreWeave, if for nothing else, is going to be on deck here for some short-term or day trading. We'll see if we get another setup. One of the areas I'd be watching here is going to be what happens if the price comes back into that first impulse high that we had yesterday. I'm not sure if we're going to get back down there, but if it does, this actually is 46.5-ish area, does represent a possible bounce level. So we'll see here on CoreWeave. Now, to the news for CoreWeave, surges 42% in post-IPO rally as NVIDIA-backed AI firm recovers from a weak debut. And again, not as strong. Would have thought that some of these AI related IPOs would have been a little bit stronger. We were talking about just yesterday, we were talking about Databricks and Cerebus and some other IPOs that we were waiting for, and how they're going to trade. This first one here, not great right out of the open, but again, yesterday had a pretty good day. Artificial intelligence infrastructure provider CoreWeave shares closed up 42% at $52.57 on Tuesday, marking a slight recovery there. The NVIDIA-backed cloud computing firm, which priced an IPO at 40 per share, below the expected range of 47 to 55. We're pretty much right back into that range, right into the meat of that range, has now demonstrated substantial investor interest despite early concerns. My first question there: do you folks think differently after seeing CoreWeave trade? Are you interested in this at all post-IPO? Analysts suggest the company's IPO challenges were specific to CoreWeave rather than indicative of the broader AI sector health. Interesting. Rosenblatt analyst Chris Brendler noted that while IPO debut was disappointing, it could prove to be beneficial for miners transitioning to high-performance computing. Quote, the market has been taking a glass-half-empty approach lately, but we still think the CoreWeave IPO and the HPC deal with Galaxy are positive developments. They're a new 15-year deal highlighted there by Galaxy Digital that CoreWeave announced on Friday. D. Boral analyst Jesse Sobelson pointed to specific company challenges, noting CoreWeave ultimately raised $1.5 billion instead of its initial $2.7 billion target, almost half, or just over half, excuse me. NVIDIA reportedly helped backstop this offering. CoreWeave's strategic partnerships with industry leaders, including OpenAI and Meta and Microsoft and NVIDIA, demonstrate significant confidence in the company's long-term potential. The company's business model centers around renting high-performance GPU infrastructure to enterprises requiring substantial computational power for AI and machine learning workloads, a sector experiencing extraordinary growth, with CoreWeave reporting 737% year-over-year growth. Thought here is, well, if you really don't need as much compute power, what are the long-term knock-on effects here for CoreWeave? And I think that that's what the market is still figuring out here. So let me know. Do you folks like CoreWeave? Are you looking to trade this? Has the story changed at all for you? Has the performance of the stock since the IPO done anything for you? Again, it hasn't changed my long-term outlook on this, especially given the macro backdrop that we have here. I don't know that taking long positions right ahead of that is the best move unless you really feel strongly about it. So let me know what you think here on CoreWeave. Are you looking to trade this? Do you like it at all anymore? Has the IPO changed anything? Okay. Next stock. Let's have a little bit of fun here, huh? Let's have a little bit of fun here. WTF. So this is a Chinese financial firm that IPO'd at about $4 yesterday. Relatively mundane early, but then all of a sudden things started to get crazy. This actually printed 28 in the after hours before paring quite a bit of that back. Now, it did pop here in the pre-market. I would imagine, especially given what we just saw with Newsmax, that there's definitely going to be some repeat interest in this name here today. Now, I don't know that that means it's going to go up. Look, these China names, especially these smaller names, always a bit of a gamble. We'll see what happens. But again, after what Newsmax did, I would be entirely unsurprised if this thing got jazzed here today. So a couple of the levels that we can look at here are going to be that pre-market high right around $20. Can't even believe I'm saying it, but here we are. I am. And then also the after hours high yesterday at 28, if we're able to get up there. We'll see if we're able to take any of those out. We'll see if this breaks down here today. But man, oh man, did anyone trade this yesterday? I do think that there were several folks in happy hour, some of our more gunslingers, we're trading this. Some people did pretty well with this. So just really interesting to see, if you folks traded this. And if you're going to trade it again today, let me know. All right, let me catch up here real quick. I appreciate all of the interaction here. There's so many more people to say hello to. So I'm just going to do it all in one. Hello, everyone else. I hope that you're having a great morning. Let's see. What else do we have here? Pete, looking at SQQQ here today. So that was the other thing. I was talking to some of the, more veteran traders that I know. I was just making some calls yesterday just to kind of take the temperature of everything. The SQQQ trade, that seems to be the big thing, right? The big trade, right? Either SQQQ or TQQQ, basically just trading those ETFs back and forth to keep the lights on. Pete, looks like you're taking a swing position there in SQQQ. Makes a lot of sense given what we're about to go through here today. Okay. I'm taking a look here. Joe, Elon sneaks a pint of gasoline in each Tesla. I love when you guys come with sense of humor here in the morning. Rafat asking thoughts on shorting Newsmax. All right, so we were just talking about WTF. Let me actually just talk about this real quick. I think we do have, I'm sure we'll take another look here at Newsmax. I do have a story to accompany this. So here, thoughts on shorting Newsmax. Well, okay, so I have a couple of thoughts on here. I'll try to put them all together for you. First of all, let's take a look here at the market cap. All right, market cap this morning, 29.9 billion. Okay, let's take a look at Fox. Okay, market cap 25 billion. Okay. So basically, on a market cap basis, Newsmax is bigger than Fox. Now, when I think about that in the real world, I think that that is absolute hogwash. There's no way that, I mean, I guess you could even call this a fringe conservative network. There's no way that this is bigger than Fox. But again, trading action crazier than crazier than we thought. Definitely on Newsmax, at least more than me. I got asked yesterday, who's buying this at 200? My response was, I don't know who was buying it at 20. So I not even equipped to answer that. Now, Rafat, to your question here, I completely understand why you'd want to short this. It makes a lot of sense to me. This is certainly overpriced. I really don't think the company is worth this much. And as a result, you would expect to see the stock price come back in. But one of the things that we definitely need to keep in mind here, especially for us traders that are somewhat nimble, this thing can remain crazier longer than we can remain solvent. So if you're talking about opening a new position here that technically exposes you to unlimited risk, just know exactly what you're doing. There is nothing stopping this stock from getting jammed again here today and going to an even more insane price. I dial this back to yesterday. Who amongst the group thought this thing was going to trade up another 179% yesterday after the craziness we saw on the IPO day? I would imagine probably not a lot of takers for that. So while I understand exactly where you're going, I urge you to remain cautious because you're talking about taking a position that opens up unlimited risk. Now, the other end of that is going to be the options market. And we briefly talked about this with Anne-Marie yesterday. I don't want to speak for anyone else, especially her, but I was surprised that CoreWeave actually has options this soon after its IPO. So just punched up CoreWeave here in my broker. I see an option chain. It is quite light. I mean, there's some in there, but it is quite light, but they do have an options chain. So I think that if one of the things that you're looking to do here is play Newsmax to the downside, first of all, I totally understand the thesis. I understand exactly why you would do that, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I would encourage you to maybe watch and wait for the options to become available for two reasons. Number one, for your own trade, you can expose yourself to the short side here and define your risk ahead of time. So right off the bat, you're able to expose yourself to the move that you think is coming without exposing yourself to unlimited risk if you're just patient and wait for some of the options market. The other sneaking suspicion I have is that this stock might remain crazy until those options become available or start to become available. I can see that this thing might turn around when options are available. So again, I would just kind of watch that. If you're going to play this to the short side, that's how I would do it. We'll see what those options are priced like and what kind of implied volatility they have when that chain is released. Just looking at this on the CoreWeave chain, which did not put in a move nearly as crazy as Newsmax, the near-term month, the April contract here, 162%, just about implied volatility. The May expiry there, 130%. Percent implied volatility. So I would expect Newsmax then to also have a pretty high implied volatility when those options chains are available. Rafat, I'm not sure if you wanted me to give you a level to short at. I don't necessarily feel confident in any of those levels, but my word of caution here would be very careful if you're going to do this, because this thing can be crazy. We've seen it before. We were talking just as early as yesterday how crazy the GoPro and the Beyond Meat IPOs were. I mean, Beyond Meat was 100 plus for a while, and that, I mean, everyone knew that stock was single digits, if that. Just took a while for reality to mesh with what we were seeing there. So my big thing here, pretty much with any show that we do, is I really don't want anyone to get massively hurt. I know that we sometimes trade a lot of really crappy stuff here and junky stuff, but I think, and I don't like speaking for 13, but without him here, I'm going to try to do that. We discuss all of the time how one of our primary goals is to make sure that you folks in the community don't get absolutely smoked on something stupid. So again, when we talk about some of these that have made crazy moves and just doesn't make sense, again, I go back to this company being worth more than Fox on a market cap basis. When it comes to that stuff, just be really careful, right? This is I understand exactly where you're coming from. Just be careful. I cannot advise what you do, but I can definitely say be careful. Don't get yourself blown up. Right. One of the things I used to hear from experienced traders when I first got into this, one of my buddies who'd been doing it for a long time said, Ryan, you only need to get rich once. Don't blow it trying to be a hero. And I took that seriously. He also said to me when I first started that you need to learn how to lose money before you learn how to make money, which didn't make any sense to me at the time. Makes a lot more sense now. So again, just giving you my 2 cents there. I have no position on Newsmax, full disclosure. I'm definitely going to be watching this. I would feel dirty if I day traded this, but I'm not going to totally rule that out here. So we'll see. Rafat, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hans here regarding NMAX gave back most of my gains yesterday. Today, I'm just watching it. There you go, Hans. And that's the thing. Whenever you're playing some of these crazy moves, you're going to see stuff like that, right? And I, again, in addition to you not wanting you folks to get hurt, if you guys get some nice profits, I certainly don't want you to give them back. Shamir here saying, don't be greedy. That's a common theme, right? If you're trading some of these movers, whether they're a small $1 junk stock or a completely off the rails IPO like Newsmax here, don't be greedy. If you get gains, don't be afraid to take them. You're always going to have another opportunity. Always going to have another opportunity. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Folks are all ready to go here. Looks good. All right. It is just about 8:30, so we're going to give you a bonus couple of minutes here. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's Tim Melvin Day. Let's go ahead and check in with Tim and see what he's doing and what he thinks about what's going on. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday or happy Liberation Day or Hump Day or whatever
whatever we're going to call it, right, Ryan?
Whatever we're going to call it. Hope you're having a good morning. How are you?
So far, so good. I'm going to add in just a little chime on Newsmax. Guys, I know some of the folks that built Newsmax. There's some folks that have newsletters over there still today. They're kind of cutting edge in their space, right, as a conservative news outlet. However, they're not profitable. They're many, many roads away from being profitable. And I saw some numbers yesterday of these hot one-day IPOs that go up 500 and 600%.
Yeah.
The long-term performance of them reverts not just to the mean, but way to the other side of the mean. It looks like almost a 0% long-term compound return. So be really careful with them. Okay. And it's, I know Ryan said that, but I'm just going to add my 10 cents to it. So happy Liberation Day, happy Tariff Day, happy all of those days. And Lion Atlas, yes, I do look ready. I'm down here. I'm in South Texas, so I'm using the spare empty bedroom instead of an actual studio. We're on Central Time, which has taken some massive adjusting.
Really?
Yeah, I'm I lived on the East Coast. Most,
yeah, but it's 1 hour.
It's an important hour, right?
Okay. I'm not going to dispute. That I'm not going to dispute, because when we had the time change, boy, oh boy, was that an important hour. So I'm with you on that.
That hour comes early. I just want to point that out.
Tim, just to be clear here, I'm basically speaking for some folks in the chat here, because. And shout out to all these people. We got some folks in California that are here when we start every day. It's like 4:00 in the morning there. There's no sympathy for anyone else. When the California folk are getting up and being here early, it's impressive. It's impressive nonetheless.
I started as a broker in Modesto, California. So right. And I lived in the San Joaquin Valley, about a half an hour drive from my office. So I had to be at the crack of dawn 30 every single morning.
Dawn 30.
And if we were trading silver or bonds or anything, because we were big into commodities back then, if you got up really super early like that and you had to drive at half an hour through the San Joaquin Valley, I mean, guys, it was just me and the dairy cows popping down Highway 99, heading up to the office in Modesto. So anyway.
Really quick here, I just want to clean a couple of things up before you go off. Day Trader here saying, Ryan, you start at 5 a.m. here on the West Coast, right? But don't you prepare earlier, like shower, coffee, wake up? I just gave you some grace there and said 4 a.m. Figured you were up there. Yes, I get up. Deepak. Oh man, this hits me right in the heart. Yes, I get up at 5 to hear your show. Let's go. I love each and every one of you. And then one more thing here. Can't see your roach on a tree. What a handle there. Is there a time for an announcement here today? Yeah, the two announcements that I think you need to be made aware of, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt is going to provide a preview of the announcement, but then the actual announcement comes right at the close. And remember, this comes right at a close from the president who's not watching the market. Yeah, LOL. Anyway, Tim, what do you got for us today?
Well, here we go. It is Tariffs Day, and everybody has an opinion, right? And everybody has a very convincing opinion about exactly what's going to happen from the tariffs that the president's going to announce later today. If somebody comes up and tells you exactly what's going to happen and what you should do to prepare for this, you should probably kick these people someplace really strategic and walk away as quickly as possible, okay? Because we're not going to know the impact of today's decision for a very long time. All right. And there's not one outcome. There's not one possibility. There's like this massive bell curve of possibilities. Okay. And look, there's the left-hand side of the curve, and the left-hand side of the curve could have some bad stuff on it. Okay. That could have a full-blown global trade war. That could have tariffs that cause a severe recession, along with high levels of inflation, so stagflation. So the left-hand curve of this bell curve is really bad stuff and a bear market. I mean, just like nasty. You have on the far right-hand curve, everything that the president is hoping to achieve is achieved. Companies are like, I don't want to deal with that tariff. I'm going to move my operations to the United States. And look, I don't care what you think of the president or the tariffs. Some of that has happened already in anticipation of the tariffs. We've seen some people announce, hey, well, I'm just taking everything to the United States now. If we get widespread reshoring of industries, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, automobiles, and more companies moving manufacturing to the United States, you get a small to mid-size business boom, to steal a phrase from the president, like nothing anybody's ever seen before, okay? Because you're going to have the construction of new factories and new plants. You're going to have apartments and single-family homes and grocery stores, and you're going to have people to work at those and build those. And it's going to be this massive boom for small to mid-sized businesses. Those are the extreme edges. The truth's going to be in the middle somewhere. All right. Could we get a bear market out of this? Absolutely, we could get a bad market because there's a good chance that tariffs absolutely crush earnings in certain segments of this market. Okay. Now, could we get, and here's what I think might happen. And I'm kind of like, please, yes, one more time, just one more big time where this happens. And I will not waste the money this time. And I pray to the market gods that almost daily, where we get that really bad short-term reaction, right? Where profits are squeezed, where the S&P 500, results come in lower, and people continue to dump stock as they have over the past few weeks, and we get the quote unquote bear market. But then things change over time, and we start to get some of the positive impacts of what the president's strategy is, or just changes in the strategy or whatever, and the market begins to rally very strongly. Those that are ready for this and prepared for the fact that we don't know what's going to happen, so the smart move is to have a little bit of cash here and think differently than everybody else. This could be one of the greatest investment opportunities of your lifetime. So here's how I want you guys to think going into this. We're being a little bit more serious. I haven't cracked as many jokes yet. I'll get to it.
Okay, good.
Today, I want to introduce you to Hetty Green. I don't know how many of y'all know who Hetty Green is. Hetty Green is one of the most important figures in the history of investing, and you should know who she is. Back at the turn of the 20th century, in the 1900s, the richest woman in the world was Hetty Green. Hetty had learned the stock market and business at her father's knee as a child. He left her a bit of money when he died, and Hetty, using everything she learned from her, became the richest woman in the world. Now, Hetty Green was the most disagreeable person on the planet. They called her the Witch of Wall Street for really good reason. Hetty Green was everything you have ever accused your mother-in-law of being. Okay. She was mean. She was stingy. Uh, Hetty owned real estate all over New York and New Jersey, Ryan, and she hated taxes. So we had that in common. Not the New York and New Jersey real estate, but the hating taxes. Um, so back then, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have the IRS to track you down. So Hetty would move apartments every month, so the taxpayer never knew where she was, the tax collector. So she stayed ahead of the tax collector by constantly moving. So anyway, Hetty had a basic philosophy. It, she was a lender, except in really bad markets, right? In really bad markets, she became a buyer, and she became a buyer of blue chips that paid dividends. And then she just simply never sold them until there was a massive bull market. She said, there's no secret to getting rich in investing. None. He says, you just wait till nobody wants anything, and then you go buy a whole lot of that. You sit on it, collect the dividends, and then when everybody wants it, well, then you go ahead and sell it to them at a very high price. So what we're going to talk about today is dividends and income producing investments, because that's going to be how you navigate the next several years. Keep in mind, no matter what happens here today and over the next several quarters, um, the market is still at almost 30 times earnings. We still have a 35 CAPE ratio. We're still at almost 2 times market cap to GDP. The aggregate allocation to equities is still at levels that suggest break-even returns over the next 10 years. And you can just keep pulling out these data points that are suggesting we may be due for a lost decade, which is great if you're a really good short-term trader. It is not so great if you bought it completely 100% into the index fund philosophy. And don't be wrong, I'm not opposed to index funds, but a guy that bought an index fund in 1999 has a very different opinion of index funds, i.e., he hates them, than the guy who bought one in 2009, who loves them because he proceeded to compound at 15% a year off a bear market bottom. Right. So there's a time and a place for index funds, and toppy markets like this might not be a time for significant investment in the income strategies. However, we want to look at using dividends to provide most of the returns. And
Now, Tip, let me jump in here real quick, because I know for me personally, look, we've been having you on for a while now, and I've taken very seriously the dividend long-term approach here. And I've actually been positioning for this over the past year. Maybe
smart.
not for this specifically, but I've really kind of been diversifying some of my longer-term holds and allocating my cash for my longer-term holds to stocks that do pay dividends. So my question here is, for those that maybe hadn't been preparing, is there still time, or is this announcement here going to change everything where you had to have been early?
No, I mean, if you're early, you're a little better protected. Okay, I mean, you are, but because you're ready, you're coming into it. But look, if this is going to be the start of a bear market, the opportunity is just getting going. And write these words down somewhere, have them tattooed, put them backwards on a mirror, whatever you got to do. Fortunes are born in bear markets, right? When you see that there's a bear market, and like I said, all the trophy wives in the neighborhood have moved out, your neighbor's getting his new Beamer repossessed. If you're not happy, you're doing this wrong. Okay. You've got to be super excited by falling prices. Now, if you walk into the grocery store and you see that, porterhouse steaks or lobster tails are $1 a pound, what are you going to do? You're going to go get an extra cart. You're going to load up, right? Now,
If I'm at Costco, I might want to get an extra freezer there too, but
right,
that's another story.
exactly. So if you walk in and steak is $40 a pound and lobster tails are 120, well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to eat chicken. And not enough people treat the stock market that way. They, what's hot, what's popular, it doesn't matter what the price is. Yeah, it really does matter what the price and valuation is as an investor. Not so much some days as a trader, but as an investor, it does matter. So we could be getting ready to have a blue light special in the stock market. at which time you can get in there and you can start buying stocks that are accidental high yielders, right? And I remember in 2009 when you looked around, you had all these tech stocks that were yielding over 4% because the price had fallen so much. Accidental high yielders. They weren't supposed to be dividend stocks. So you're getting ready to have an opportunity to buy higher yielding stocks at bargain prices. Now, I'm also going to give one of my favorite lectures, okay? Because you're going to have an opportunity here to do something that can really make you rich. Now, your accountant's going to make a few bucks off of this too, all right? But if we get a bear market and we get energy prices that continue to fall, all right, you're going to see the midstream assets in the energy market. I'm talking the pipelines, the gathering systems, the terminals, um, stocks like MPLX, Enterprise Products, and begin to fall. Now, we did this in 2009, and we did it again in 2020, where you had like MPLX was at 15 in 2020. It's at 64. You locked in a 10% dividend yield on this thing if you bought it back then. And by the way, the dividend's grown by 5% a year. Now, what's the problem with that? It's an MLP. It's a partnership. Partnerships filed K1s. Now, here's another piece of market wisdom. K1s are a pain in the ass. They're a massive pain. And their partnership tax returns, they're completely different than a 1099. I guarantee you that 15 minutes after you have mailed in your tax return or hit send on the e-file, you will get an amended K1 in the mail. It is absolutely guaranteed to happen. But here's the thing. These things produce massive amounts of cash. The cash comes in the form of fees charged to use the pipelines, the terminals, the ports, whatever the asset is. The fees come in whether oil is $60 a barrel or $160 a barrel. So it's very steady, pretty reliable cash flow, not necessarily tied to the price of oil. The taxation of MLPs can be a godsend, or you can sit here and say, "Oh, I really hate paying my accountant the extra money for tripling my money over 3 years. That's just such a pain in the butt." Um, an MLP dividend comes to you as a return of capital. All right. So now let's say you buy an MLP, it's called 8%. So it's going to take 12 years or so for that return of capital to get your tax basis to zero. Until then, you don't pay taxes on it. And you still got the assets out there. They're still worth what they're worth. In a bear market, you've bought them at a discount. You've got all of your capital back. Now that's reduced your cost basis to zero. So when you sell that, you'll pay capital gains. Additional distributions from that point below your cost basis are treated and taxed as capital gains. Now, we've finally, with brief 4-year interludes when morons get in charge, we finally figured out that lower capital gains are really good for the economy because it encourages people to invest more. I certainly think that President Trump's tax package will have lower capital gains. So you've just got these, yes, the K1's a pain, but if you buy these in a bear market, you've got dramatically undervalued assets that are paying off high levels of cash flow. And by the way, have a great record off bear market bottoms of steadily increasing the dividend. These have to be on your buy list. Never buy these in an IRA, guys. Unrelated taxable income will cause you to become best friends with a gun-toting IRS agent. Voice of experience here, okay? Because you'll trigger unrelated business taxable income, which means stuff going on inside your IRA now becomes taxable, right? And you don't think about that. If your account doesn't catch it, you run up this massive tax bill, and they've got better interest and penalty structures than the mafia. I mean, it's ridiculous how fees and back charges. So don't put this stuff in your IRA. But outside your IRA, these can be one of the strongest performing investments you ever buy if you buy them in a bear market. Now, the other thing that you
Tim, can I ask a really quick question here? Comes
Sure.
from the chat here. Voodoo is asking, Tim, aren't a lot of the dividend players that are using the K1s switching over to a different structure?
I would not use the phrase a lot. We've seen some of it, and we've seen some. Plains All American is a great example of this. Plains All American is the MLP, and the parent is Page General Partners, PAGP. So PAA is the MLP. PAGP is the general partner that owns a bunch of interests in this. So economically they're same, but they're taxed differently. And the big reason that they're switching is not because they love you and don't want you to have to worry about a K1. It's because people hate K1s, and the big index providers will not allow these things into the indexes. Okay, so if they want to be in the index and kick their own stock option values higher, they've got to find a different tax structure. But for most of the oil and gas industry, for some players in the shipping industry, it's still the most efficient tax structure for management who wants to convert the cash flows into long-term capital gains, because that's what you're doing. And war with Iran would not mean a lot of stocks would stop paying their dividends. All right. Not in this particular field. I see that comment in the chat, because the domestic oil and gas industry could care less what happens in Iran. Now, if these were European pipelines, I'd have a different attitude about that. But remember, we're the largest producer right now of oil and natural gas. And war with Iran would be a huge boom for MLPs, because we're going to have to get a ton of natural gas right here to where I'm sitting. By the way, I'm not too far from the Corpus Christi LNG terminal that's going in down there, and we drove by a bunch of that stuff on the way to the CVS. These are not big towns down here, Ryan. This is like really small towns where I am. So we had to go to a couple towns over to the CVS. We drove by a whole bunch of oil and gas infrastructure. So I'm not worried with these investments about what might happen if we get into a war with Iran, which, by the way, for the record, I do not think at this point in time is going to happen. And maybe that's just me being wishful thinking. But in a bear market, as we get there, you really want to be thinking dividends, 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 dividends. You don't have to be cute here, folks. You're going to have companies, and great companies, that drop to stupid prices. Like we bought Philip Morris in 2020, locking in a 9% dividend yield on a company that increases its dividend. Actually, it was Altria. I'm sorry, I'm old. To me, they're all Philip Morris. So we were able to buy a bunch of blue chip stocks that were throwing off huge dividends. Back in 2010, my wife worked for Wells Fargo. We switched her entire 401k into Wells shares. That worked out really well. So you're going to get an opportunity to buy lots of great blue chip stocks at really attractive dividend yields, and you can hang on to them for a very, very long time. So there was an interesting study a few years ago by O'Shaughnessy Partners, and Jim O'Shaughnessy wrote What Works on Wall Street years ago. I think the last edition was 2012, but you really should have a copy on your bookshelf. It's just a quantitative look at what works. And they did a study, and by the way, the entire team at O'Shaughnessy they're brilliant thinkers. They do a lot of research. So O'Shaughnessy Asset Management, check out their webpage. There's some great research on there, market history stuff. They did a study. What's better, dividend growth or dividend yield? And it's actually dividend yield of blue chip stocks, and that's because a dividend makes a statement, right? It makes a huge statement. When I pay a dividend, here's what I'm saying as a corporation. And by the way, before I get attacked in the chat, I'm going to head this one off. I am very familiar with the modern portfolio theory aspect that says buybacks are probably better than dividends. Right? They're more efficient on a tax basis and blah, 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 blah. And I don't care. I love dividends, right? If a stock goes up because of buybacks, it goes up 10% and the market collapses, I lose my 10%. If I collect a dividend at 10%, that is my money. You cannot take it back. I see Energy Transfer on the screen. I love Energy Transfer some days more than my children. I mean,
that's something.
Okay. I mean, this is just like this premier collection of energy assets with phenomenal management, right? They're doing a little bit of infrastructure for renewable energy to stay ahead of the curve, but these guys just grow the dividend. They have great assets. So Energy Transfer is another one of those ones way up on the top of your list. And Bigger Bays, I probably said that wrong. Bigger Bears, whatever. You're right. You cannot eat a buyback, and you can't claw back dividends under the current regulations in the United States either. So dividends are cash. I can use it for anything I want. I can buy more stock. I can, spend it frivolously. I can bet on the Orioles to win the World Series, which is like just stupidity taking over with brainworms. But I do it every year anyway. So there's just I love dividends. When you corporation declares a dividend, here's what they're saying. I have a business and I've sold a bunch of stuff, and now I've paid for my products. I've grown my business a little bit. I've paid my people, paid the light bill. Maybe I bought back a little stock to offset all the degenerate stock options that I gave to grandma. Whatever it is, I've used all my cash for everything that I can think of to use my cash, and I have some money left over. So I'm going to give it back to you. Okay, because you're the owners and operators of the business. For hundreds of years, and by the way, Europe still runs this way, dividends were not fixed the way they are in the United States. You got a dividend every year by the board of directors getting together and going through exactly that calculation. We've paid everybody. We've embezzled what we possibly can without getting caught. This is what's left. So we're going to send that back to the dividends. You didn't buy a stock hoping it was going to go up. You bought a stock for the dividend. And the dividends could be quite fat in the good years, 15, 20%. Most Greek shipping companies are still run that way. When you look at shipping stocks, the only thing that will make you sicker than being on a vessel in a high seas is watching the dividend go up and down on those things as conditions in the industry change. So dividends make a statement. Dividend growths make a statement that, you know what, I did all of those things and I've got more money this year than I had last year. So I'm going to pay you more. So what we're kind of looking for is that combination of higher yielding stocks that's also buying back stocks. We want to have a long list of those, and we want to be buying them at important market bottoms. Now, I'm going to give you one right now. I'm going to give this to you. This is free. I'm going to give you the exact formula. If you don't use it, shame on you. Yeah, that's a very grade school there, right? You tell my granddaughter's in first grade now, can you? By the way, I got to give you all news flash. There's a new lacrosse superstar coming out of the Baltimore, Maryland area. My granddaughter played her very first lacrosse game. She was very nervous about it because she's originally a Florida kid. She didn't know what a lacrosse stick looked like 6 months ago, or which end you hit the ball with, or any of that. First game, 4 goals, Ryan. 4.
Oh,
So,
let's go.
so,
You got an athlete in the making, Tim.
Sporty Spice coming up. Here we go. So anyway, look, this one's simple. I'm going to give you straight up exactly how this works. We'll look at a couple names together. This works in the United States. It also works globally. All right. Over the last 10, I'm going to use 10 years because 10 years has been this like runaway bull market. You've got almost 14% in the S&P 500. You would have outperformed everything with the Teslas and the Nvidias and the Microsofts and the Amazon and all the cool stuff that happened in the S&P 500 over the last 10 years by doing one simple strategy. And if you do it in a bear market, you'll make so much money starts to get stupid. All right. So here's what we want to do. We want to go to what industry, Ryan? Where do you think I'm going with this?
Energy.
Banks.
I guess I should have guessed that. I should always guess when you propose a question to me, the answer is either Orioles or banks. And I think by now I ought to be smart enough to know that. So I'm gonna take the L early, and hopefully that's the only one we take today.
Yeah, that's the only one. So it is bank stocks, and what we're going to do is real simple. Okay. Now the cool thing about this strategy, right, is that when the market is strong, there won't be a lot of stocks to buy. You'll be cutting back a bit. Okay. When the market is in a condition to be a big buyer, well, there will be tons. You'll get to pick. So the strategy is real simple. We're going to take United States banks, and we're going to come in here. We're going to look for yields of over 4%. we are going to look for what's called an equity to assets ratio. That's the amount of equity divided by assets. We want 10% or higher. Okay. That's a requirement because that's a leverage thing. The higher that number is, the lower the leverage in the bank, right? We want a huge margin of safety. We want to be able to survive banker stupidity, as I like to call it. Some of the banks using this approach will be relatively small. So, but some of them, especially in a bear market, they're going to be very big. So, just going back for some great examples here. You want to be, and by the way, you're going to have a lot of takeovers with this strategy. You want to rebalance this thing every 3 to 6 months, depending on your risk tolerance and where you want to be. You want equity to assets of over 10%. You want a PE ratio of 12 or less, and you want a dividend yield of 4% or greater. Guys, this crushes the market. I mean, just beats it like a redheaded stepchild. It's ridiculous. And you'll be buying great banks that you're very familiar with in bear markets at stupid prices that you can then hang on to for a very long time. This needs to be in your arsenal because it's one of the most effective strategies of all time. And I get people tell me all the time, well, bank stocks are boring. And, my grandma has bank stocks. That's right. And when you need a loan, who do you call? Your grandma, fool. She's got money. So, and I hear the other one that, banks, we're going to do away with banks. We're not going to have banks. It's all going to be Bitcoin and shoe phones. And no, it's not. We're always going to have a banking system for one simple, if for nothing else, this simple reason. Some of you out on the cutting edge, you love Bitcoin. The people with most of the money, you know what they love more than anything? And yes, apologies to the redheaded stepchildren out there. Anne Marie drifted in and caught me being bad. Sorry about that. It's not the last time, I'm warning you. Now, right, here's a favorite TFSL on the screen. But look, we will always have a banking system. It's needed to have the type of leverage. You have to have regulations on your financial system, or you know what happens? You lose your financial system because there are always bad actors and stupid people out there. And if you let them have unregulated access to your banking system, you won't have an economy much longer. So we always have banking, but at the heart of it, Americans, average small business guys, they love deposit insurance like I love my dogs. Right? They want that security and safety of knowing that their money is in a bank. So, TFSL, I absolutely love this bank, Ryan. Thank you for putting it on the screen. This bank is never, well, someday it is actually. And I'll get to that in a second. But TFSL just sits here. They do mortgage loans, guys, and they're mostly up in the Ohio area. But they're in Cleveland, Ohio, beautiful booming metropolis that it is, they do single family mortgage loans. They do a little bit of second mortgage. When all of their customers started getting older and moving to Florida, they figured out, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's put a branch in Florida. They pay out most of their dividend. Their cash is dividends. It's a 9% dividend yield. Is it safe? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very. Now, look at this. They're paying out $1.13. The earnings are only 29 cents. How can the dividend be safe? That's a good question. Let me answer it. This is a mutual thrift, guys, and they only did a first step conversion, which means they did the first offering. They sold some of the stock to the public. Now, they've bought back like half of the stock that they sold to the public originally over time. Only 20% of this bank is public. 80% is held by the mutual holding company. Now, so when we look at this, we say, okay, there's 280 million shares out there. No, there's not. There's 56 million shares out there. That's it. For accounting purposes, everything's treated like it's outstanding. The board actually has to get together every quarter and vote to waive the dividend, and they do. So the earnings are actually much higher. It's not trading at 43 times earnings. It's trading at about 8 times earnings. When you look at the actual economic interest of the minority shareholder, it's trading at about 42% of the equity value of the shares here. So the stock's ridiculously cheap. Now, that 80% of the stock that is not available to the public, there is only one thing that you can do with that. You can sell it. It's basically treasury stock. It shouldn't be reported this way, but it is because the mutual holding company accounting is a little weird. Someday they'll do a second step conversion offering, and it's probably not going to be tomorrow. And if you'd bet on a second step conversion offering 10 years ago, you'd have been wrong. Okay. But someday they will do a second step conversion offering and they will sell that 80% of the bank, which will bring in a ton of cash, which will then go directly to the bottom line. So the already understated value of the bank will double or more because of the offering. Someday that will happen. I just don't know when that will be. And I don't care. I'm getting 9%. I don't think the indexes are going to do 9% over the next 10 years. I do think this will be great for the next 10 years. So and I'm not invariably bullish on the financial system. When things get up to over, because I saw that comment come in to the chat, I am bullish when banks are not trading over as an asset class 1 3/4% of book value. When we start to see industry wide non-performing assets go over 2%. My system and my approach is quantitative. I'm forced out by valuation and rising bad loans or dropping capital levels. And that's one of the reasons I like being quantitative. I don't have to overthink this, right? If loans are starting to go bad and capital levels are dropping, I'm just out automatically. That is not the case right now. The banking system's actually, I don't care what the headlines say. If you get into the numbers, it's in really good shape. There's still lots of cheap banks left. And if we get a bear market out of tariff day, and I think there is a chance that this happens, right? Because widespread tariffs, there is going to be a response. It is likely to hurt S&P 500. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it could sting, which gets us into a bear market, which means you're going to have a lot of really high quality banks trading really cheap based on earnings and book value that are paying great dividends. So I think as you get into where we're concerned about a bad market, start thinking dividends. And if you combine dividends with credit worthiness and focus on the energy and the bank sectors, you're going to make so much money over the next 10 years.
Okay, so TFSL, great. Do you have maybe 2 others that folks should watch for? And then the follow-up question I have is, is your strategy here, or are you waiting for things to really kind of get bad, or is now maybe a decent time to start scaling into some of these?
Well, I mean, if it meets the requirements, then you can buy it. I mean, if you look at Regions Financial right now, the bank is sitting there. They've got just tons of capital. The loan book is solid. It's trading at 11 times earnings, so it's up on the it's up on the near edge, but it's and I'm just giving you larger cap, slightly larger ones here. The bank has pulled back from almost $28 a share down to 21. The really interesting thing here is that if the analysts are right about the direction of earnings this year, then you're going to see this huge pop in earnings. It's only going to be trading at 8 times earnings. Dividend's been growing over the last 1, 3, 5, and 10 years by more than 5% a year. So you've got 4.7% dividend yield, great history of growth, strong loan book, great valuation. So there's some very good things going on with Regions Financial. Just looking for some here that I am a huge fan of. FNB in Pennsylvania, again, fantastic bank. And the stock again has pulled back from 1750 to 1350, which is a pretty, that's a chunky pullback, trading at 10 times earnings. And again, I doubt that the analysts will be right on the number, but looking for decent earnings growth this year. Here's something to keep in mind. For all the doom and gloom and all this other stuff that is supposed to happen, bank earnings are actually going to grow this year. And here's something else to keep in before I get back to FNB. If we get an economic slowdown, we're going to get lower interest rates. They go hand in hand. Okay, they're like peanut butter and jelly. They go together. So if we begin to get lower rates, you remember all the headlines about how the banking industry was going to go away forever because of all the bond values that had decreased that they had on their books.
Mm-hmm.
They were cheating on their accounting, and it was going to be the end of the universe. And Citigroup was a technical bankrupt, and all that other hoopla that came flying around out of the instant experts of the internet. That reverses when rates start to go down. So all of those negative marks that banks have taken over the last few years against book value, they go away. So book values like steadily pop up. So there's a lot of good things, even in a falling market, a weaker economy, that can happen for banks and bank stocks. So anyway, F&B, great loan portfolio, lots of capital, strong dividend of almost 4%, great history of dividend growth. So all types of good stuff going on at F&B. And I'm a little more selective right now because the list of stocks is not as long as it will be
Mm-hmm.
if prices continue to fall. But if prices continue to fall, you're going to want to be all over this. I'm just coming back to let me get exactly to my screen here. Here we go. Columbia Banking System. This is a bank that I think you can buy now, COLB. They did a huge merger with Umpqua Bank out in Oregon. Most of the branches still do business under the Umpqua name because it's better known out there. The stock's sitting here at $25.50. They're more than earning the dividend of 5.67%. They're buying back stock. The loan portfolio is beautiful. I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. They have plenty of capital. So this is one. If prices continue to fall, you're going to want to be all over this stock. This is now a premier West Coast banking institution in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California. They've been around since 1993. At some point, it's going to make sense for somebody to buy them. And that, by the way, is the huge tailwind to this whole banking strategy. Banking consolidation has been going on since the 1980s. It accelerated in the 1990s when the READER Act was passed under Interstate Banking Act was passed by then President Bill Clinton. We still have almost 5,000 banks. Right? It's too many. We don't need that many banks. And banking increasingly has become a business of scale. The bigger you are, the higher the returns on your capital, the higher your returns on assets. You can spread costs over a wider base. It's easier to build capital. It's the old Walmart thing, right? The bigger you are, the more spending, the more cost control power you have. So consolidation is going to continue. Under Trump, it will accelerate from what it was under Biden. Looking at U.S. Bank, somebody just acted at 4.91. Let's just check the one thing that could be a curveball with U.S. Bank.
What was the ticker on U.S. Bank?
USD, and it is
USD. Yeah.
It is a great blue chip bank, but I just want to check one thing real quick. Hang on. USB.
USB. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
And I got one question here before we get you out of here, Tim. Let me know when you're ready.
Go.
Okay. Alexa here is asking, Ryan, when the economy is tanking, what are the industries that would most likely get bailed out?
Under this administration? Try none.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know what you mean by bailed out. I'm not sure. I kind of agree with Tim there. I'm not sure they are going to look at bailing out any. I mean, maybe defense.
If it gets bad enough, you have to bail out the banking system. Okay.
The banking system. Okay.
I'm going to say this. I don't think this president and this administration, and by the way, yes, U.S. Bank does actually qualify. I wanted to check the capital levels there. They have plenty. So that's the one that could have got them. Because yes, you've got a 4.9% dividend. You're trading way below 12 times earnings with U.S. Bank. So, and this is a great, very large bank, but exceptionally well run. They're brilliant on cost control. And they've been a long-term wealth machine if you go back and look at the stock. So,
okay.
So as far as bailing anybody out, I think this administration would not do what we saw in previous bank bailouts. I think there would be maybe even nationalizing of some banks would be more of a Trump regime strategy than just giving them capital the way we did last time. But again, that prediction has the same value as every other prediction ever made, which is pretty damn close to zero. We don't know. And I don't think we're going to get there this time. The banking industry is too healthy.
Okay. Tim, really good stuff here today. I know we got a huge day coming. We're going to keep checking in with you. Appreciate the long-term approach here. Again, I think that this is an absolute must if you're going to participate in markets. Mixture of short-term and long-term, never a bad thing. Really appreciate it here, Tim.
All right, guys, have a great day, everybody, and thanks again.
Yep. Have a good rest of your day, Tim. We'll check in with you next time. That is Tim Melvin. A lot of good stuff there. I know we went over here, but I really think what Tim is talking about is going to be very important, especially if we do see some huge down moves here for a prolonged period of time. So big shout out to Tim. Thank you very much. Tim's departure leaves room for 13. We're going to go ahead and bring 13 on. 13, are you ready for Liberation Day?
I feel liberated already.
Oh, here we go. Okay. I think I know we only have 20 minutes here. I didn't see a whole lot of tickers that folks want to go over. Let's start with the movers, and then we can wrap it up with whatever else you folks want here today. What's that?
That'll be quick. The movers list isn't as good as it was yesterday. We had multiple 100% runners, plus runners. This morning we've got two, and one of them's a massive penny stock. One that we've traded before, Digital Ally, that's got a share price of 6 cents. So big mover there. But the one that we're probably end up starting with is going to be Innovation Beverage Group, IBG.
Yeah, absolutely. So IBG here, what's going on? Stock is up 243%. Innovation Beverage Group shares are trading higher after the company announced a distribution deal with a top national alcohol company to expand its reach in the U.S. market. Quick look around the horn here. Pretty much nothing in terms of short interest, 5.39 million shares in the float. Here's a look at the chart. Again, we already talked about this, just up huge here today. This was a penny stock yesterday, popped in the after hours, taking another huge leg up on volume here today. Actually, just retesting some of the highs there just recently. So what do you got here, 13?
Oh, yeah. So this is an Australian company that's expanding into the U.S. They have a float of 5.39 million shares. Company's balance sheet looks pretty good. It looks like they have a good amount of income. I believe this is all in Australian dollars, so don't let the figures fool you there. This looks to be like it's a real company doing pretty well. Just low float and has a low price, but it looks like it's doing much better. As far as the chart goes, we are hanging out above VWAP, looking like we are going to try and create a bit of a scallop here. If not that, potentially a cup with handle. It's trying to take out this high in pre-market that it made of 183. We're currently trading at around 163, 164. And it's as you were wrapping up with Tim there, I noticed that it was starting to gain some momentum to the upside. So we may get a break over this 183 here, either going into the open or shortly after we open.
Okay, good stuff there. IBG, I think that 180 level is definitely going to be huge there. We'll see if this comes back into the VWAP. Currently have the VWAP there at 136. Okay, I'm just going to, did you want me to go to another one specifically, or can I just roll down the list here?
You can just roll down the list if you want, and I'll tell you if I've covered it or not, because we don't have a lot of time. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Next one here is Sunshine Biopharma. This is one that we've absolutely seen before. This is ticker SBFM, Sierra Bravo Foxtrot Michael. Sunshine Biopharma shares are trading higher after the company reported year-over-year increase in FY24 revenue results. Stock did pop almost as high as 4, looks like 380 here in the pre-market on some pretty decent volume. The volume has dried up in the pre-market, but the stock has stayed relatively stable here, pretty much right at its VWAP. Current look around the horn here, short interest of about 4.18% with 3 days to cover. That 3 days to cover, though, is being calculated off of an average daily volume of just under 100,000 shares. Stocks traded 19 plus million here today, so I'm not sure that a multi-day squeeze is going to be appropriate here. 13, did you cover SBFM?
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, they did have their earnings yesterday, and they indicated a 45% increase in revenue. So that was, I think that's the big reason why it's moving here. The company has 2.7 million shares in the float. Their cash position looks great. Looks like they have cash for years based on their burn rate. They did have some news all throughout March that kind of made it look like it was kind of back and forth. For example, you have these agreements to rights to market to generic antibiotics in Canada. That was late in March when that news came out, and then the following Monday they delayed their financial reporting. So lots of back and forth here on whether or not this is looking good or not. But if we go to the chart, this has had a nice run this morning up to 382. It's since come back in and gone sideways, just either trading on both sides of the VWAP. Currently trying to recapture the VWAP right now, but this is going to be another one. I'm just going to have to wait and see what it does into the open, because I do want to see it above VWAP. But right now it's currently trading beneath that and just above the 65 EMA. So there may be this might roll over, but I wanted to see what it does after the open.
Okay, there you go. Waiting out the opening print doesn't sound like a bad strategy at all here today. Good morning, Jay Rice. Great to see you. Welcome back. SPWH, is that on your movers list? Had a surprise profit. Indeed, it is. Here is ticker SPWH. This is Sportsman's Warehouse. Sportsman Warehouse holding shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results. And as Jay alluded to there, a surprise profit. It also here looks like we had a lowered price target at B. Riley. Yep. Or whatever you want to think about that. The EPS on that earnings report here, 4 cents. That beat the 6 cent loss estimate. Sales, 340 million. That beat the 329 million estimate there. Sportsman's Warehouse Holdings sees FY25 net sales range down 1% to a positive 3.5%. Yeah. So okay, and then one more thing, just to kind of a look around the horn, as we say here, 1.96% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and this has 32.5 million shares in the float. So, okay, 13, what do you make here, SPWH?
So the earnings report is what it's moving on. The earnings were better than what they were expected, but that fiscal year 2025 net sales range, that was a little interesting to me. They're expecting anywhere from being down to positive. So, I guess the takeaway was, the expectation of being down isn't as great as being positive. Their expectation for being positive. So I guess that's that net is what the market is moving this on. Company might need some cash though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they decided they needed to raise some capital. They have about 2.6 million in the bank. But they lose anywhere from like several $100,000 to as much as 18 million in a quarter. So I would expect that they may need to do some kind of capital raise. And I didn't look into the company that well to see if they had already done something like that. So don't know if that's already happened. We just haven't seen it yet. But seeing as how we just had the earnings reports, I would imagine that they would have disclosed something like that. When we look at the chart. Let me just go to this one. We're currently taking off right now, trying to get that 160 pre-market high that we put in about an hour ago. We're making our way through some consolidation from the after hours on the heels of that earnings report. So we take out 160, and we might. Let me see what other levels I have here. I didn't have anything prepared for levels, but we are currently. Almost at the 65 EMA on the daily. That's going to be at 158. And I can see on the price ladder here, 157 has a large amount of sellers. So if we get through that, we might see trade a little bit better, maybe even pushing up into the 180s. Okay,
150, 160 looks to be the spot there. SPWH, Sportsman's Warehouse. We'll see if we get any continued movement there after the open. I think there's 3 more in here that I wanted to mention. Then we'll talk about Tesla. Those delivery numbers came out. Tesla's trading down here, although it looks like it's bottomed at least temporarily. Next one here on the movers list, ticker TTEC. T-Tech holding shares trading higher after the company announced it remains ready to engage with proceedings regarding a takeover offer. Okay. There you go. That has popped here. It's up 30%. Looks like we had a high here of just shy of 480 here in the pre-market. We are pretty much right at the VWAP there. Quick look around the horn, 21.87% of the float shorted here with 9 days to cover. A little bit more of a squeeze potential here, and that's on 500,000 shares of average volume. Today we've traded 684,000, so maybe you do get a little bit of a squeeze event here. 13, you got, and one more thing, float 19.69 million, so just shy of that 20 million low float threshold. 13, what do you think here on T-Tech?
Well, I'm glad that they're ready to start those proceedings. We wouldn't want them to not be ready. That'd be bad news. So I'm glad they're getting that taken care of at least. But I think this is kind of a bit of a non-event. It is moving the stock, however. So I didn't cover this one. because now that I've heard why it's moving, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't. One of the things that I do see is that this does have a substantially high short interest. 21.87% of the float short with 9.1 days to cover. So we are seeing a lot of squeezing price action. That's why you're getting this at first initial pop up to 480, and then throughout the morning here, we've had these intermittent pops that trying to take out that high. You can even draw some trend lines on the top and bottom sides of these this price action that we've had here in the after hours and the pre-market, and you can see that we're kind of compressing here. So the stock's going to break out or break down at some point here in the regular session. I just don't know which direction, but if I had to guess, to me it looks like if it continues to not be able to get back above 450, which seems to be the area it really wants to close over with these pops, probably going to come back down and go lower. I mean, that would be the expectation I have, especially if it can't recapture VWAP like it's trying to do right now.
Okay, good stuff there. T-Tech, we'll see what happens. I want to skip over this real quick. OSG, this was a runner from yesterday. This is Quantasing. This popped again here in the pre-market, so it looks like this is going to be maybe in play here again today, maybe just on relative volume. No fresh news on this one here. This did peak above $8 before coming back in. Pretty negligible short interest. I don't really think that's going to play into anything here. 15.7 million shares in the float. 13, I don't think you have anything on this one. There was nothing new.
No, I didn't cover that one. The only other one I took a look at today was CNTM.
Okay,
and that fell under. I think that fell under $1.
Okay. Yeah, I think it did. We can do that. We did get a question here about Saidu first. So let's do that one here first. Then we'll go to that CNTM. Saidu here is popping. Saidu space shares are trading higher after the company announced that it entered into an extended and amended preliminary 120 million agreement with Lone Star for lunar data storage spacecraft. So this is another one in your space theme. Shout out to you. You've been dead on with the whole space theme thing since you pretty much started that. Let me see when that news came out here. Yeah, it looks like this was an 8:30 PR. When I had first looked at this, this wasn't out. So this is responding to that. That's what's going on here. Quick look around the short interest. 3.78% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Float here of about 14.25 million. Anything there on Saidu?
So back in December, this company had news with regarding Lone Star and Lone Star wanting to put a data center into lunar orbit. That's the whole big thing I've been talking about with Sidus Space with regard to their stock, and you can see that movement we got in December off of that news. This extension I wasn't anticipating, but that's even better news. $120 million agreement. That's great. Yep. But this is kind of what I'm watching for when it comes to this whole space theme. Satellites are the accessibility to space and to satellites has never been higher. You're going to see a lot of these smaller companies with the capability of putting satellite clusters into orbit, and you're going to also see potentially things like this, where you have data centers either in orbit around the Earth or around the moon. Taking some of that cost, of having a data center here on Earth off the table there. I understand that it's not cheap to launch things into space, but to operate them and to maintain them, there's going to you have a lot less costs, is what my understanding is, when you have things like this in space. You get solar energy, cooling, because space is not very warm. So
to say the least.
Yeah, so I expect to see a lot more of this kind of thing with these space stocks, where you start to see data centers getting built out, maybe even new space station candidates, since the ISS is due to be retired very soon and will be burning up in orbit. So interesting stuff. I don't know what the question regarding SIDU is. I'm just
it was just people saw it popping here, so they were just wanted to take a look at it here. Basically, just the ticker. Market Sniper was repeating some of the news there. So, okay. CNTM was the other one that you had.
Yeah, this is so what happened with this is that they received a buyout, a non-binding buyout offer from 3 institutional investors. It's their 3 biggest institutional investors. It's SriSid LLC, Arumili LLC, and Winlight Global Company. Those 3 companies have been the largest institutional investors for CNTM. You can see if you look at the news feed, over the past, just in this year alone, they've been increasing their stakes, their holdings in this. And I guess they just finally decided to get together and buy the company out. But what's interesting about Connect Technology Solutions is that they are starting to get a lot of business, and I think particularly in India too. And what they, I can't remember exactly what their business model is, but it is having to do with building out infrastructure.
Yeah, so CNTM here, the company provides residential and light commercial buildings and an all-electric original equipment manufacturers with a proprietary digital platform to accelerate the transition of solar and all-electric heating, cooling, and transportation.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to point this out because even though this is a buyout offer, it's non-binding and it's nothing set in stone. So this could change. That's why it's not around $1.60 and down closer to 90 cents. So there could be more in here. I'm not particularly interested in trading this, but just wanted to put that out there because there still could be some more movement in this.
Okay. All right. Next thing that I think that does it here for the movers. I'm sure if we find some more, we'll be on top of them. We will be watching the relative volume scanner throughout the course of the day, of course. Also, Tesla here. This is I told you earlier that we were expecting the deliveries number. That delivery number that we were expecting, 377,592. Looks like Tesla delivered 330,000 vehicles. 336,681. So that number coming in pretty light. Also, if we go back to the article that we were sharing earlier, the Sawyer Merit poll conducted on X, the biggest cohort actually ended up being correct. Under 350,000 represented 37.3% of the respondents. That was, in fact, the correct number there. Tesla here was down about 3.5% prior to this release when we first took a look at it, down just shy of 5% here today. Tesla currently at 255.61. So it looks like here, so it is down near the lows, but I guess technically it's up off the lows. You got any thoughts on Tesla? Just out of the blue?
I don't think there's any new thought that I have on Tesla.
Yeah, me either. I guess I should have prefaced it. That's sorry about that.
No worries, it's okay. What I could do is at least provide some levels that I have here.
All right, let me throw the daily chart up here. I'm going to kill my drawing so it's more easy to see these levels. 13, let me step away for just 1 sec prior to the bell, though. Be right back.
Okay. So the levels that are interesting to me, first of all, we have the 20-day SMA where the price is still hanging out above the 20-day SMA is going to be at 253 exactly. So 253 is going to be your earliest level beneath the price of where it's at right now. Beneath that, I'd be looking at looks like 251 is a pretty interesting level. You draw a horizontal line there and look to the left. You can see how that's been previously support and resistance. Big area of resistance on November 5th. This is actually the level that Tesla blasted over following the election last year. So 251 and 253, I would say, are going to be the two most important levels in the near term if we are going to go lower. We also have the 500-day SMA beneath that as well at 243.60. Don't know if we're going to get there or not, but with the news that's out, it wouldn't be surprising if we did. All right, so aside from it's going to 280 today, so you're looking for it to go up. My resistance level ahead of 280 is going to be 273.60. I've had that level out there since October of last year, late October. That is the high prior to the breakout of November 5th. So that's why I have that level out there. I'd be looking at that level to get taken out first. And then, of course, above that, we have the 200-day SMA at 287.91. So we have great. So you have Tesla is focusing Tesla around 200. We have some focusing Tesla closer to 280. This is why we have a market, folks. Go ahead and buy and sell as you will. Let's make this market happen.
Okay. It looks like I got back right at the right time there. Just shy of 2 minutes to open here. We can flip over to the main workspace. We could take a look at any of the stocks that you want. CoreWeave here popping right up to the after hours high. We'll see if it breaks that high. For day trades here, part of me wants to wait out this opening print. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do here. At least 5 or 10 minutes. We'll see here, but I don't think I'm going to be aggressive out of the open. I kind of want to figure out what's going on.
I gotta just hand it to you with your mention of the bearish pattern in ICCT yesterday. That's lower today. Still waiting to see if we do find some bottoming action here and maybe turn up so we can see that 7 print that some of us think that it might be coming. But that it was throughout the day yesterday on the 5-minute chart, it was looking like a head and shoulders pattern. Certainly, we are trading much lower this morning.
Yeah, we talked about that one. The other one was that QSG, which we took a look at, and we're open. Let's see how we do here today. Here's that DGLY. I can't believe the stock is 7 cents. Can't believe the stock is 7 cents. I remember trading that when it was double digits, honestly. Digital Ally. Alexander, good morning. Can we take a look at RSLS? Yeah, we can. All the way back to penny stock territory after that huge move yesterday. They have offering news this morning.
There's CRWV, the core weave that took out that high. Just like I was looking for.
No,
the pattern is great. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, RSLS, just answering the question here. RSLS down massively here. I did not see news of an offering. No,
it's just the way that is. And that's why I was kind of warning about it yesterday. I can't stand the way it reshaped the trades. It's hasn't been a good one to me. Hopefully nobody got caught in it, but
SBFM maybe on a 350 breakout. Sorry for interrupting.
No worries. Oh, hey, nice. Let's see it get to 360. Tesla coming down 252 and change. So we are through the 20-day SMA. Next level is the one that I mentioned earlier. Oh, actually, no, it's going to be the 500-day SMA next.
Okay. Tesla, new lows here, continuing to pull.
TTEC, T-Tech.
Just saw that pop up, challenging the VWAP.
Yep, sure did. Looks like SPWH, Sportsman's Warehouse, that's trying to make a move as well, but the volume isn't as great as some of these other ones are.
That was SPWH. WH. Thank you. I'm probably going to mix those up a couple of times here today.
No worries.
CoreWeave looks like it turned around right at that test near the high. I am seeing some more Tesla put flow here.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Tesla's trying to it's recaptured its 20-day SMA and trying to move back up. So probably going to end up seeing a lot of this. There's a little bit of a gap to fill on Tesla as well, since we gapped open this morning. You have the low from yesterday at 259.25, so you could see some reversal there. And then you have the close. The open yesterday at 263.80. So if we get above the low, then I'd be looking at the open as the next level of resistance.
JYD here. Someone brought this up earlier. It was mentioning this is a pump and dump, just kind of a nasty move there in the after hours. JYD right back to penny stock territory. I wouldn't play this for a bounce personally, but I know someone brought this up earlier. We didn't really cover it. T-Tech did move through its VWAP. See if this can get above 450. Still a spot to look at there. Wolf, this did pop out of the open. Your SBFM came back in. CNTM, that might be trying to hold here at the, what is that, the 15-day? 15 EMA here on the 5. See if this can regain $1.
That'd be cool.
Rocket companies moving back up here after that recent decline on Monday.
Yeah, because they
right back to where we started.
Because they are acquiring Mr. Cooper. That's why I went down. They acquired Mr. Cooper.
Yep, and it's right back up. That didn't take long.
Nope.
Hoth flirting with the $1 level.
Oh, no.
Yeah, careful with, I know. I was almost debating not bringing it up. Wolf continuing to pop to the highs here. 340 was the high from Thursday of last week. See if that falls here.
Be careful with Hoth. These things smell bad on the outside.
Yeah. And on the inside, turns out. Encino, this was another big gap down here today. This is actually up off the lows, so maybe this one bounces here. Encino shares trading lower after the company reported Q4 adjusted EPS miss. Additionally, Piper Sandler and Needham cut their respective price targets on the stock. This thing down 30%. Again, this was down almost close to 40% here in the pre-market.
We have the market seems to be taking off right now. Because I'm watching the SQQQ and that thing is just dropping.
Well, here's the thing. So you guys were asking, someone asked earlier about what time the announcements were. Producer, maybe I can put this in the notes section and then you can make a post that's actually readable out of it in case we get asked that more here today. I don't know if this is going to paste correctly into the chat. So there, I threw that in the notes. Go ahead and read it to you here. The two times that I think you need to be paying attention to here today, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt previews the announcement later today. The actual announcement, though, comes right at 4 when the market closes. So I think those are the two times that you need to be made aware of.
CNTM on the verge of getting back over $1 here. This looks like it's going to try to go higher. Maybe even take out the pre-market high of 126.
Battling the VWAP as we speak right now.
IBG, that was halted down. I saw somebody had sold Corey for 40% profit. Reaching financial freedom seems appropriately named. Great job.
I love it. ICCT, but tell you what, that bearish head and shoulders on the 5 certainly played out here. WTF, this is halted to the upside. Oh, and by the way, Jay, you had mentioned IPOs earlier. If we go back to the morning report here, a couple of things regarding these new IPOs. First one here, this Top W, this one is also a Chinese name, very much like WTF. So maybe we should check on Top W. The other one here, SMA, this is the Smart Stop self-storage REIT. My God, is that hard to say? You try it 3 times fast. This is the one that they're actually showing on CNBC. I guess the company's there to watch the IPO. It's on all of the screens there. Those are probably the ones that are going to get the most action here today. We'll see, though. Okay, going back to the chart here, WTF halted.
So if you look at the SPY on a smaller time frame, like the 5-minute chart, you can see that we have double bottomed here at 555. We could have a pretty strong morning. I don't know about the entire day, but that's a pretty good looking double bottom there on the SPY chart. Look at that.
Right here.
Right off of 555 as well. That was the level we were keeping an eye on yesterday. We got a rebound off that yesterday as well. Not necessarily off of that level. We traded beneath it and then recaptured it, but it didn't take too long. We are just absolutely tearing right now. We have highs around the 562 handle yesterday, just slightly higher than that, almost 563, I think. Maybe we did hit a slight print. Yeah, we did. So 563 is the high from yesterday. We could be in this range from 555 to 563 today until until some kind of announcement or headline comes out that changes market sentiment.
Yeah, one of the that 563 level was my upside level of note here today. I did want to take a look at the intraday low, but to your point, 13, we just moved up right out of the gate, so we can reassess that if we get back down there.
So far, CNTM has been great. It did come back in losing VWAP at the first few minutes, first like 10 minutes out of the gate here, or not even 10 minutes yet, but you know what I mean. We're doing pretty well. If we can hold VWAP, I think we could go on to take out 126. But let's see what we get here with this one.
Wolf continuing to press the highs here. 345. See if that goes to 350. Sunshine Biopharma did break that 350 finally. Next spot here going to be that pre-market high candle 383. Looks like it's going right there.
Good mention on Soundhound, Will. That is ripping with a high of 827 right now. It looks like there are a bunch of sellers at 830. Just made its way through some of this after-hours consolidation yesterday. Not showing that it's holding above it, but it's at it right now. We have higher prints in the pre-market yesterday of 840. We would want to see that get taken out as well.
Here's your daily chart on Sound that we've been taking a look at. What a huge fall from that 24 level here. Jay mentioning Hood and JPM and some others red to green here. So looks like the JPM. I know Tim was talking about banks being a decent spot to go here. Hood all the way back, red to green. Pretty nice move there.
SBFM Sunshine Biopharma that just popped up to 390. So this is the one that I believe I was just wanting to wait and see what it does at the open, and it kind of
Yep.
whipped around a little bit before I finally decided to take off here. So glad I didn't take this one at the open. I don't know what I would have thought at the price action at the beginning, but this is looking much better now. Let's see if it can hold some, above some of these pre-market highs. WTF halted, by the way.
Yeah, CoreWeave really pulled off of its spot that initial push higher here. That almost looked kind of trappy. You were saying which one? WTF was halted here?
Yes.
Halted to the downside.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last halt was there. Oh, this is the first halt of the day. Sorry. All right.
Looks like we're getting a little bit more movement out of CNTM, trying to take out the session high that it just put in. We are looking for a break over 126 for CNTM. Saidu clear for touchdown. Hey, no problem, Will. Sound is the land of bag holding, and the zombies are waiting to dump their pain. Yeah, you know, that's why it's not one that I would hold. It's just a day trade, especially now that I think NVIDIA is no longer has a stake in that, right? They
dissolved that. No, that news actually really sent it down the day that we got that.
So that whole relationship there that a lot of folks are trading on doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, Soundhound, not one I would hold.
HEPA, I know this is a penny stock, but this actually had a decent little pre-market that might be setting up to go higher. I'm just going to pass on all that. RCAT having a great day here right out of the open, ripping on some volume as well.
Palantir.
WTF looks like it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. So it halted to the upside, then it opened, reversed, and halted to the downside. So I that's what I thought there. Let's see. Resumed. It halted 25 seconds. Again, open for 25 seconds before it was rehalted there. So hope you're having fun with that one.
Palantir with a rebound off this trend line. You can even see the trend line if on the underside. If you go to a daily chart, it's the one that is where these lows have been bouncing off of. You can draw a trend line up through that. There you go. Yep. So we rebounded off that. Now we're trying to recapture our 20-day SMA. To be honest, I don't like the price action over the past 10 trading sessions, going from the top of this this channel here, coming down to the bottom and finding support there, and we were rebounding, yes, but it's starting to make a bear flag, and I don't think I'd want to own it right now. I'd want to see what this does first, because I think this still goes lower. I'm looking for 70 in Palantir. CNTM might see $2 today if this volume continues. I wouldn't doubt that. As a matter of fact, look at this. We're getting into the 120s.
Yep.
With CNTM looking to take out that pre-market high. It's beautiful.
And this would kind of follow the ICCT and what was the other one yesterday? That was a penny stock that then became a dollar stock and ended up going crazy after that. What was the one yesterday that did that?
The penny stock yesterday?
Yeah, let me see if I've got that in my notes.
Let's
there.
see. What I have here for yesterday was let's see, ICCT. We had Newsmax, Reshape. We had Reshape Life Sciences.
Yeah, RSLS. That was it. Yeah, that was it. It was RSLS. Yep, that was in a penny stock, went to dollar territory, ended up printing 3 today, right back to penny territory. Thank you. RSLS, appreciate you.
Yep. So Lat Band Company has used its own product, lost a lot of weight, unfortunately.
Okay, very well done there. CNTM continuing its march towards that pre-market high that we have flagged.
Mm-hmm.
A CoreWeave here. This did bounce off of the 15 EMA on the 5. We'll see if it can recapture VWAP. Right now, it's running up against that. Key Tech still waiting for that for what was this 460-ish in here. See if we end up getting that.
Amanda, he was great too. Was sad that we lost him. Imagine the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yeah, so I was just seeing that comment there. So funny story. So Andy from Happy Hour, Andy's wife actually knew the man. Macho Man Randy Savage. And I've asked about that. He said he is one of the nicest guys, one of the most unassuming guys in the world. Like that entire thing that you saw was a total act. He was completely different in person and just a really, really stand-up guy. So really, really kind of cool to hear that. Indeed, that was sad. I liked Macho Man Randy Savage when I was a kid. Him and Ultimate Warrior, those were my favorites.
Oh yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time.
Not bad. Not a bad impression there. How is NMAX doing here today?
We also sorry to add to the the somberness of the situation, but we also did lose Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
He was a great singer, by the way. You wouldn't have known it, but if you had ever seen the Doors movie, or Top Secret.
There are some folks that argue that his portrayal of Jim Morrison was one of his best roles. That and Tombstone. I know Top Gun gets a lot of headlines. He was on screen for 10 minutes in Top Gun. That's it. 10 minutes.
I said Top Secret. If you haven't seen
that, I know. I'm. This is a separate one, but no, you're right there on the singing. In fact, if I recall it correctly, I believe he wanted to do that all himself. Don't quote me on that though. Really, definitely good stuff. Sad stuff there too. IONQ trading up here. This actually looks like this might try to take out yesterday's intraday high. How are the rest of the quantum names doing? Because IONQ has really been more steady than some of these other ones. Yeah, Rigetti a little bit lower here. QUBT. I'm going to check QBTS next.
IBG. This one is halted to the upside right now. We're trying to recapture VWAP. We just had a bit of a double top in the pre-market, so be careful with this one. I don't know if we're going to recover here or if after we unhalt, if it just takes us lower. Soundhound's still ripping. Be careful with this one. Looks like we're headed to 840.
Market's still ripping here too, by the way.
Yeah. Let's see if we get to that 20-day SMA on the SPY. I still think that that's a possibility. And then if we do, I would think we start seeing some weakness. All right, so let's see what's going on with these movers from this morning. CNTM, that's coming back in a little bit, still above VWAP. Just make sure you have your stops ready on this one. Remember, we do have these are all low floats, so just make sure you're protecting yourself, especially in a day like this.
Saidu grounded here. That actually went red after that huge pop. NMAX, man, hopefully nobody was buying up in the 280s because it's cut in half already. 140 here. Newsmax actually looks like it's going lower.
That was crazy price action. Had no business being up there.
Nope. On a market cap basis, was worth more than Fox. Sunrun, interesting. That's popping here out of gate, up 5%. Cybersecurity names popping. I know NBIS, which a lot of folks are looking at. This one is also popping here today. I did see some call flow on that, but I didn't really take anything away from it. BBAI calls flowing here. BBAI popping to the highs. More NBIS calls.
NBIS calls more?
Yeah, sorry. November Bravo India Sierra. NBIS.
That former Russian one, right?
Yep.
So Soundhound 838, just shy of that 840 high that we were looking at from the pre-market yesterday. Starting to pull now ever since it got up to there. So not sure if we're going to see some more upside from this, but this has been on a nice run. So we might see this come back into VWAP, maybe go underneath it.
Bitcoin at the highs here. Bitcoin ripping along with the rest of the market here. Bitcoin futures 86,000 right now.
TTAC testing the top of that trend line that we had drawn on the top side. SCFU is, yeah, I know it's making a lot of back orders, but you're saying IBG, did that? No, it's still halted. At some point, the SQQQ is going to be a good trade, just like it was yesterday. Remember when we were just getting the SPY or the market was just absolutely tearing up? That was a good chance to get into that. Core Weave coming back up to the session highs. Session high is 58.44. After selling, we are recapturing VWAP and trying to push higher.
SQQQ, for those that I think, Pete, you were mentioning this one earlier. Are you in it? Are you adding to it? Do you have an entry level for this? Are you looking for it to get to a particular level? How are you actually trading the SQQQ? As far as the VWAP and the move away from the VWAP here, if this continues, we might get extended enough to just buy it just on principle at that point, down about 50 cents from its VWAP at the moment.
GRI, we traded this one, I think yesterday. This one has come down significantly yesterday, but is gone sideways into its close yesterday, into the after hours, and into the pre-market, and now it is trying to break the pre-market highs put in this morning. Looks like it wants to go to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, which is at 296.
This had a huge move higher and then pulled back, almost all of it, and then did an offering. It did a midday offering here. 11:15 was the time of that PR Eastern time. CoreWeave here. Okay, so that did continue here. Looks like it's trying to go higher. Doesn't have the strength yet, though.
Alexander was asking about Root. What's going on with Root? This thing has been on a run. It's since come back into its 50-day SMA. So what's the question here? Are we looking to see if we're going to get a rebound off the 50-day SMA or fall through it? What are you looking at here with Root? I mean, if I was trading this, I'd want to. That'd be one of the levels I'd be paying attention to, because the 50-day SMA, this rally that it's been on, kind of rode up the 50-day SMA.
Sportsman still trying to get above that 150 level. SBFM looks like this 330 level might be of some significance. VWAP there at 335. This not breaking down yet, so if you get some more volume flow in here, maybe that pushes. RCAT here, we saw that push out of the open. That's actually holding and looking like it's trying to go higher there in RCAT. Izzy, good morning. Great to see you. No surprise here. Trading Amazon, nice little dip and move here. 3-point move there on Amazon. You've got me thinking about Uber here as well, of course. Uber also having a pretty nice move out of that pre-market low.
So I guess when it comes to Root, I think what we're wondering here is, does it continue this price action where after it gets support, and it's been doing this a lot, where after this these price spikes and it comes back in, do we just need to wait for it to just do this again, since that seems to be the case going back to the second quarter of last year? It'll have this random spike, come back in, find a base, spike again, and it just does that. It just does that throughout the year. This time it's actually going higher though, so I think that we might see we're going to have to watch that 50 for some price action underneath it, because once that starts to happen, we might see this come back insignificantly, come back down to the 200 as well. GRI pushing up higher to that 296 area. I don't have a great plan for Root. I've never really traded it. I have scalped it sometimes, but maybe Jay Rice or somebody that trades this more frequently might be able to provide some more context on where this thing goes. But for me, it's just going to be the 50-day SMA that I'd be watching.
OKLO here, Hans, looking like you're long OKLO, having a nice little move here. Glenn, the 5-minute here looking pretty good. All green candles, volume and price candles. The intraday high yesterday was 24. OKLO made a very similar move yesterday before giving it all back, so just be careful on that. Was there any news on this? I don't think so. No, nothing new here.
Yeah, GRI. That is looking pretty good. Now, if this does break the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, it's probably going to run into some resistance around 330. That's where I see the next level at. So just keep that in mind. And to someone's point, let's see, Smoke Tuna. Yeah, it's got a bit of a spread here too. So be careful. Make sure you have your stop set with some of these. So IBG is still halted again, trying to break to the upside, trying to take out the pre-market high.
Let me pull this up in my broker and watch the level 2 on this.
CMTM Still trying to take out that pre-market high, very close to it.
IBG halted up here at the highs. Yeah, okay.
But CNTM is starting to look a little exhausted here. Like it's having a tough time getting above that pre-market high. You know what? There may be a big buyer that just comes in and takes out all these sellers from 125 and 130. There's every 5 cents there's just a large amount of sell orders. So just understand that that's what we're facing for the upside here. We're facing that kind of resistance. SPWH, that's also trying to push up here.
We're waiting on 150, right? Yeah, sure are. Waiting on 150 here on SPWH. And by the way, Tesla, I was just taking a look at it. I noticed that there was some call flow going on in Tesla. Tesla is up off the lows, so it looks like it's trading higher now post the delivery numbers, or post the reaction to those delivery numbers.
CNTM traders are taking out those sellers.
There it is, new highs.
125, and
Good
they're
stuff.
hammering the 130. Let's see, where does this end up going? Looks like 138 would be my next spot. I could see this hitting multiple levels, but let's be realistic here. If this goes on a run, I think 190 might be where it tops out at. There's other levels I could point out to, like even 210, 205, 210. But I need to see it. I need to see it to get to a certain level first.
Yeah, this 190 almost looks like former resistance and support right around that area there, right off the daily on CNTM. SPWH, still want to see that that move through 150 if we get it there. Rocket continuing to move higher here. What a rocket!
See, even space plays that aren't necessarily in space do well. So let's see here. We have, let me just extend this line. We are kind of coming up to a trend line. We actually broke through it. And then we have consolidation that we're coming up to. That starts at about 1450. So we have multiple levels that we can look at to the upside on Rocket. So we have that start of the consolidation at 1450. 1480 looks like a resistance area. Then you have the 200-day SMA, which is at 1508. Those are the next upside resistance areas I have.
SBFM still staying beneath its VWAP here. It's trying to push above it, though. Again, I still think 330 is the spot here on SBFM.
Nice. CNTM went up to 135. So we're saying it could go to 176. I think we also saw somebody saying it could go to 2 as well. I don't want to get in the way of that. I think those are great levels, and we could definitely get there. But it has been on a bit of a run. So let's see if we can get some cooling before we make the next move up, because the RSI is pretty extended on smaller time frames.
Hood continued to push after that red to green move that Jay flagged from earlier. CSAI, this is one from yesterday. It's not all that great.
GRI, after almost hitting that 200 EMA on the 5-minute, it had a large knife through VWAP and right back down almost to the starting point from today. CoreWeave, still trying to push up. Hasn't broken the high it made about 5 minutes ago of 59.33. And the volume is starting to drop off, but it is still trying to push up. This is also spready, so be very careful with this one.
JYD rug pull continues as that moves lower. I think we're still waiting for IBG to open here.
Oh my God. What is this company?
Looks like just kind of a pump and dump.
I'll say a dump, that's for sure. It's almost lost all of its value.
WTF halted to the downside here. IBG is open and moving higher here. 197 your high print. Looks like it is going to test 2 there.
Great call on IBG. I think that was STFU. Yeah. Well, so Mike, it's
here we go.
That's what the value of the offer is, but it's non-binding, so there's nothing definitive there, and it's from the 3 biggest investors that have been buying up CNTM. They have been increasing their stakes in the company, and now
IBG going to halt to the downside. Sorry to interrupt you here, 13. This is going to halt to the downside. Every big offer that they brought got just completely swallowed up by sellers.
Wow.
This is going to halt here, 172 to the downside. IBG. Glad we waited that 10 minutes for that 25 seconds there of action. I mean, it is what it is.
T-Tech trying to break out. It's getting rejected so far. WTF. Oh, that's a WTF moment for sure. Lost its 200 EMA. This is starting to look ugly.
How was that the Chinese IPO top WC? Okay, that didn't open yet. We got the ghost error there. What was the other one? What was that other ticker? SMA? I don't think either of these have opened. SMA, I think we'll be able to see. Yeah, none of these have opened here. We'll be able to see those on CNBC when they open. First time grab out of the gate, out of T-Tech. Well, way to go, Blazed Rhino.
All right.
Do some register rings here today. Yeah, the sell size was nuts, Mo. And that's what I was saying. Like, I was actually watching people slap some pretty big bids right onto the offer, like right where the price was, and they just got swallowed up. And they continued to get swallowed up until the thing got pushed into a downside halt. More calls for Rocket going off now. Rocket continuing to go to the highs.
Wonder how
Apple at the highs, Netflix at the highs, Palo Alto at the highs, Amazon still pushing. No wonder we haven't heard from Izzy. He's probably way too excited. That continues to push higher. Goldman Sachs continues to push higher. Oh, it's JPM. Sorry, 13. I'm just rolling through stuff.
Yeah, so UWMC is also having a good day. That's up 6.5%. So financial institutions seem to be doing pretty well. This is actually coming off of a double bottom, UWMC. A double bottom that looked like the stock was going to go lower if it broke. I think we need to get back above 6, though. And
new high on the SPY.
UWMC and I also believe Rocket have high short interest as well. Rocket with a 20.9% of the float shorted, 2.87 days to cover. United Wholesale, 12% of the float shorted, 4.6 days to cover. Let's see, we have, I think LDI is another one. Now it's Loan Depot, that's up 3%. Not so much of a high short interest, but still moving. Looks like some of these mortgage plays are doing pretty well.
More Tesla call flow now as Tesla completely reversing. Actually, only 1.25% from going red-green here on Tesla. Nice little move off the lows there. NBIS puts getting bought now. That was on the nice move higher to 24. That did seem to stop it right there.
UPS, that's kind of just, I'd say that's kind of like just having a sideways day. You know, it's been selling off. It seems like the sell-off is starting to either slow or has stopped, especially with how low the RSI is. We should be seeing some turnaround here at some point. Still like this for the long term, though.
Yeah, you think that this could trade down to 100, maybe bounce from that round number combined with some of this oversold stuff? That seems like an obvious spot or an obvious potential move.
I don't know that we're going to go all the way down to 100. I mean, if we start to continue to get like weak economic numbers, maybe. It looks to me like 104 is an earlier. If we do start to go lower, I would think 104 would be the earliest area where we get some support. But yeah, I do have a 100 also marked up. If you draw a line at 104 and look to the left, you can see how that's frequently been a support resistance area. So I think we would see some price interaction there for a time.
Mo saying, I'm glad I'm staying out of these fake outs. Feels like you have to buy the bottom, where's the bottom? Who's to say that it's not another fake out? Indeed, it's tough. And you know what, Mo? So you're not the only person that feels that way. Some of these smaller movers, man, they don't really feel great. Got to be quick on them. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. You're probably better off buying the bottom. But where is the bottom, right?
I have one trade that I've done today. That was in CNTM, and that's
Okay, nice. Well, you're one higher than I am.
I only did one. Yeah, so it was just looking pretty good, and it had a good setup. So I took a shot at it, and it worked out pretty well. But some of these other ones, man. Oh wow, look at that Sports Warehouse.
Yeah, SPWH finally took out that 150, and look what happened when it did. Higher we go here now on that. It also took out the pre-market high. We'll see if this builds. Volume looks good here.
T-Tech finally broke that trend line. 495. So that was another good one that I didn't take that I should have. That one looked it looked pretty decent. I think the reason I didn't take it is because it was under VWAP when we opened, and I just wanted to wait for that to get recaptured. Once it did, I still didn't take it, and I should have.
IBG opened, moving lower now here. Smoke Tuna here say, stop looking for the highs. Always look for the lows and combine that with volume. Smoke Tuna wisdom for you here early in the morning.
STFU said IBG knives on the open, and well, sure enough, it did. It gapped down, so it pretty much bulleted. It shot it from a gun.
Coming right to the VWAP right here. So we'll see what happens.
I have the 65 EMA at 136. That would be one of the last areas of support that I see. The only other one beneath that is going to be about 128, and then we're going to be looking at about $1.
Jay mentioning light here. This is Lumentum. Actually, I'm seeing some call flow in here. These are for the April monthly contract. Strike there 67.5. If
you're still rolling dice with Soundhound, I have 875 as a resistance level. So keep that on your radar if it gets up there. It's still going, So just if you're trading it, I just wanted to put that out there. 874, 75 is a resistance level.
SBFM just couldn't take out its VWAP, so that 330 spot that we were able to take out did not generate enough to take out the VWAP, and lower we go here now. CoreWeave getting mentioned. CoreWeave continuing to push higher.
Wasn't $60 kind of like where we were kind of looking at this thing topping out at?
Yep.
So we hit 60, and maybe we get a little sideways action. We'll have to see.
See if it holds up here. IBG still holding at its VWAP, at least so far.
CNTM might make another move to the upside here through 135. That's the current high. Yeah. Let's see. Charles, you're saying, what is it? Oh, it's about Corey about to break 60. It may need a little bit more time. I don't know if it's going to do it this candle. I mean, it might, but see what happens.
Jay, good mention there. Light. I missed these because I only saw that last one there, but you're absolutely right. Those 70 contracts. Multiple sweeps on those, all still in the April expiry, but those 70 contracts were actually more active than that 67.5. That's a good mention there, Jay. Good spot here on this one.
CNTM came back down to its VWAP. Needs to get some support here. If we lose VWAP, this is probably going to head lower.
IBG doing the same thing, really just kind of sitting at its VWAP. We'll see if that wants to move lower. T-Tech pulled off those highs, but that was, I guess, a nice little break higher.
One I was just looking at. Sunshine Biopharma. This just went down to its 200 EMA. It's getting some support there, but I don't know that I'd expect a reversal here. This is the one that delayed their reporting.
Mr. Cooper, back to the 134 spot.
Yeah, all the mortgage names are doing pretty well. Sportsman Warehouse, that just made new highs.
That's continuing, continuing to make some.
That's a great one. Congrats on anybody that took that one. Break down your evil guy laugh 13.
I was chuckling at that.
My evil, what does it sound like? Help me out here. I don't know what I
It's
sound
like, almost like an evil Bond villain laugh as your plan is being executed.
like a Dr. Evil laugh, would you say?
Well, Dr. Evil laugh is almost more comical. Okay. I wouldn't quite go there.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to find something that isn't taking off right now or absolutely tanking. So ICCT is trying to find a bottom. IBG doing the same thing. CNTM still messing with VWAP. SBFM coming off the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. SPWH hit a high of 179 and kind of pulling back in from that right now. T-Tech after hitting 495 coming back into the VWAP and bounced. So we'll see if it can hold above the trend line that we drew.
Real quick, Michael, CNTM, wasn't that a buyout at 160? Yes, as 13 mentioned, that was a non-binding proposal there at 160.
Yeah. So that could be, 160 could be the top of this movement here. So one more impulse move off VWAP, taking us to 160. That'd be it for the stock or for the trade, in my opinion. Might get that right now. But yes, there was an offer by 3 different companies.
It's 3 largest investors.
Yeah, the companies that have been buying this company has been adding shares to their portfolios. It's Srisid LLC, Arubili LLC, and Winlight Global Company.
CoreWeave here, Big B's saying had a nice 100% on these new CoreWeave options. Cash them in. I'm back in smaller. Let's go. Yeah, we'll give you a register ring for that. The whole CoreWeave thing here, doesn't it seem like we really got the big pronounced move after options were released for this? Kind of feels like that for me, Big B's. Good to see you taking advantage of that. That brings me to Newsmax. We got a question earlier about shorting this. Newsmax, we're still waiting on the options to show up, right? Let's see. Yep. So no option chain yet for Newsmax, but I'd watch that. I'd watch for that. I think you might see kind of a change in direction here when options are available. I think you might actually see this accelerate to the downside. We'll see, though.
Yeah, we were getting asked if this was a short, and we were like, It could be a great short, but with the momentum that it's had, I wouldn't want to get in the front of the train.
Well, exactly, and that's exactly why options are just so much more attractive. You could still expose yourself to the short side without opening up the unlimited risk.
Mm-hmm.
How's good old Nvidia doing here? Okay, Nvidia 108 down 1.65%. Market or the NASDAQ here down 0.5%, so it's off those highs off that initial run. Worth noting that it didn't actually go higher. So while we did get that nice power move higher here, we actually didn't take out any end of the range. If we look at SPY real quick, I'm glad we covered those. 13, you had the same levels that I did. I'm glad we covered those earlier here. So a nice little move, definitely off the low. We're still inside yesterday's day. So really nothing happened here other than just some regression back to the mean, I suppose.
Yeah, WTF, this thing has not had a great day at all. It's filled with downside halts.
Careful if you play some of these IPOs. I'm just really, really hoping WTF didn't get anyone here.
Look at those red candles. It looks like this thing is hemorrhaging.
Yeah, it sure does.
All right, so Hood having a great morning. That looks like it's, I'm sorry, this is a SoundHound. I don't know how I didn't click that. Hood's still having a great morning. Looks like it's trying to set up to go higher if it can hang above VWAP here. Same thing with SoundHound. That's looking like it's trying to make its next push up. And remember, this has got a resistance area at 875. So this push up could take us to that resistance area. CNTM also trying to move up.
So I was just looking around the Twitter streets there. IBG curling back towards the highs, or trying to curl up here. So let me bring this up on screen. This actually did, on that big pullback after those halts, this actually did hold its VWAP, and it's trying to bounce off that right now, flirting with the 156 area of 15 EMA.
CoreWeave blasted through 60 and got it to 61.66.
Really good stuff there, Big B's on this one. You think this means anything for any more of those other AI IPOs when they do inevitably come? Think the performance of CoreWeave will kind of bleed over into that at all?
Yeah, I think there's an expectation that a lot of the AI theme will come back this year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be surprised surprising to me if when it did, all these newcomers participated in that. You may see some, Nvidia trade not as well as it has, during its rally, but it seems like the whole semi sector could, collectively get a lift again.
Mike, Ryan, and 13, what are your expectations for tomorrow after the tariff announcements? I am expecting some things to trade better when some of the uncertainty is removed. As we've been talking about with Derek from yesterday from T3, and then again with Tim Melvin here this morning, it actually might take longer than we think for full clarity, for lack of a better term, to be achieved there. But I do expect there to be just a little bit more willingness to kind of work through what we know. Now, if you're asking me if I have a particular level or anything, I'm not necessarily buying into like the, limit down, world is ending sell-off. I do think inevitably we resolve lower. I do think the economy continues to come in. I think that's part of the plan. So I actually wouldn't be shocked terribly if we were kind of retesting that 10% level. That's 8 points away from where we're at right now, 551. So that 559. So that 552 level is likely going to come back in play if it doesn't come into play in the after hours here today. I do expect it. Like I said, I do think that there will be less uncertainty. So we should have a little bit more clarity on what we can trade, whether it's stuff to the downside, VIX or other names. How about you, 13? You got any expectations for this?
Yeah, basically, when it comes to what the market has already priced in as far as tariffs go, everything that's being announced that we already know about, I don't think the market's going to have that much of a reaction to. It's what that we don't know about the tariffs is what the market's going to react to. And of course, we're going to get the announcement of all this after the market closes today. So it's going to be kind of on some of these earlier traders in the morning, from Europe and other countries. That are going to kind of tell us where we're going to be heading, since they're going to be trading this market, digesting that information earlier than we will. So I would think that what's not known about the tariffs is what the market's going to react to, and I don't exactly know what those are, but if it's substantial, then we'll see substantial moves.
Yeah.
I do think that if it's not a substantial amount, we'll see a quick sell off to account for that, and then we could continue to go higher. But if they are substantial and it's a lot of things that the market was accounting or not accounted for, then I think that we will trade lower. It just depends on what they all are.
Okay. Anne-Marie says, totally agree, Ryan. Hey, well, at least somebody agrees with me. I'll take that, Anne-Marie. I'll take that. How about you, Mike? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Or anyone else? I guess it doesn't even have to be Mike. Anyone? Just like I was saying earlier, I'm curious to see what you folks think on all of that.
CNTM losing VWAP, unfortunately.
STFU saying this tariff hysteria is a nothing burger. The one thing I can't help it. Maybe it's just the contrarian in me. I don't know, but I feel like the more hype that we hear about from the talking heads, the higher the chance of a nothing burger. I'm kind of with that. But again, we'll see how it shakes out. Plan for both of them.
And that's possible only because we've had so much time to actually figure this out and have the market price it in. Yeah. I don't want to say it's a nothing burger because we've seen this market correct as a result of this announcement.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if what he's kind of meaning there is that, like you were saying, like some of this is baked in, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's going to be the things that we are uncertain about. Those are the things that are going to react.
Okay, so I think what you're getting at then is there's going to be a lot of things that we already know about. So most of the downside is baked in. Is I think what you're getting at. Set me straight.
Me or
STFU.
Yeah, STFU. Amanda, a very simple approach. I think whatever Tuna and Anne-Marie tell me to think. Oh, that's a good laugh.
Yeah, so a possible recession is not a nothing burger to me, but again, the market will start pricing in that possibility. So by the time it arrives, it's much of the move has already happened. Core Weave now in 63. This thing is taking off.
This is a nice mover, nice call here. Big B's, you are on the trade here today.
And then CNMT continuing lower. Michael Storm, I think CNTM turned the offers down to go to the OTC market instead. That's one of the things that I was thinking about when I saw this as a non-binding agreement. I was like, okay, since it's not floating up here at 160, it doesn't seem like this offer was either accepted or maybe it's still being discussed. Maybe a higher price, but this was just an offer. It was non-binding. It was from 3 different companies collectively trying to take this company over. So you could be right. It could be just to reject the CNTM is just rejecting the offer and saying, no, you need to pump this up higher. Could be that.
Size continuing to come in on those core weave options. Big B's, you hooked a good one here today.
No available shorts for NMAX Webcoin. It wouldn't be. That's not surprising, really.
IBG coming back into the VWAP. We'll see if it ends up holding there. It rolls lower.
What would the execs and Newsmax even have their shares at if they're selling? Because if they're, I don't know that they're going to. I would see them selling, but what price would they be buying at? I don't think they'd be buying even up here where it's at.
Yeah, I also don't think they can sell. Let's take a look at the lockup date.
That's a good point.
So here you go. Your date of, that's the date of IPO pricing. Sorry, I expanded the wrong one there. Insider lockup date, September 27th of this year. So I don't think those insiders can sell.
Okay.
Yassine, CoreWeave made 4 points. Yassine, hopefully you hit that.
Hell yes.
Good stuff there. By the way, I did want to really quickly cover Chris Catchy, one of our writers here. At the end of the month, we'll pull stats from the most searched tickers in Benzinga Pro. Here are your top 10 in order from 1 to 10. Tesla, SPY, NVIDIA, the Qs, Micro Algo, MLGO, up there at 5th place. Wow. Palantir, GV, Apple, Supermicro Computer, and D-Wave. That's QBTS. Amazon, Intel, Broadcom, Servomed, Plus Therapeutics, MicroStrategy, Meta, Aclarion, Microsoft, and AppLovin round out the 11 through 20. So I think all of us here recognize every single stock that is on this list. We have definitely covered and or traded it in February. Looks like we're going where everyone else is going to.
Yeah, I'm kind of reading that right now, Mike, about DJT. It seems like there's some kind of effery happening here. It says that earlier this morning that there was the Trump media filed to sell a bunch of shares of common stock, and then it went on to say that there's a statement that they just issued about not that long ago, like minutes ago. Saying that there's a fake story suggesting that the TMTG filing today is paving the way for Trump to sell its shares in TMTG. So I don't know what to make of this. It seems like there's some fake news, I guess. I don't know what to make of this, but it's causing the stock sold off this morning, consolidated, and now it's ripping back up to where it was selling off at. So. I don't know how much of this is true or how much of this is fake, but this would take some time to sort through the BS, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, Mike. It seems like it is fake news, so I just don't know. I'd have to double check this, but that's what they're saying. Soundhound also still pushing up to that 875 area. It's almost there. Let's keep an eye on that one. WTF.
Wow, what a rip on this.
Might have found some support here at $9. It's halted the upside now.
ICCT halted to the downside as that continues to roll over from that head and shoulders.
Yeah. This.
Sorry, 13 SBFM. Did you mention this 200 EMA on the 5 on this one? Because it did bounce cleanly off of that. I can't remember if you gave that as a level. Another new high in the S&P 500, by the way.
I said the 200 EMA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's when it bounced clean off. That's purple
Yeah.
on my chart here. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, it bounced off of that. Still struggling to recapture the 65. If it does that, you have VU up above it.
I don't really think I've seen anything interesting on the Twitter streets either.
No, and it looks like the market's still trying to push up higher. Factory orders. That was almost half an hour ago. How are the airlines today?
Really quickly, I saw this interview going on, but because we were live, I didn't hear any of it. Ontario Premier Ford was on an interview on CNBC earlier today, said Canada is willing to remove the tariffs if the U.S. does. That should come as a surprise to nobody, I feel like.
Okay, well then all that work that's going to happen is that we're just going to end up right back where we started. So where's the benefit in that? Why go through all these hoops just to end up back at start? There's going to have to be something that changes. We're
going to find out today, aren't we?
Yeah. But hey, you know what? I think that's a little bit of it's a little bit of good news, because at least Canada's trying to engage just like Trump wants. Did I see you're coming on the tariffs? Yeah, I know. It's a game.
But it's not a kid's game, and it's not a game that you want to lose either.
The kids don't want to even play this game.
That's right. They want to play Fortnite or Roblox.
Let's see. Which comment about tariffs, STF? A very positive thing about tariffs, and might get Powell to pull his thumb out of his ass to fix these idiots. Well, yeah, that's the whole point of this. Trump's trying to hammer this market. You hammer this market, you hammer the economy, you force the Fed into a position where they have to cut.
Lower asset prices, lower rates, better for the investor.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. That's what is happening here. And at the same time,
they've been fairly clear about that. I mean, especially Bessent. He's really been talking about that recently. Here is your CNTM coming back in. Timber, says Izzy. Yep. And you know what? That actually might be a decent sound to throw on the soundboard for one of these that's really coming in. Timber. That's a good one.
Or the the sound that a bomb makes when it falls down the sky.
Yeah. Maybe a Wilhelm scream. Get a Wilhelm scream in there too. Not his fault. Jay Rice, CoreWeave here. The options are real pricey. The 70 calls for 650 covered. Bigaby's been raking those. Jay, what do you think about Newsmax options when they come out? What do you think about those? What first of all, what do you think that's going to do? And number two, would you trade them in either direction?
Sniper, I think the problem was that we started imposing the tariffs on is because of imbalances, trade imbalances. Now, to your point, I realize that there are tariffs on us, on our products for some countries, but I think Trump's trying to negotiate more than that. He's trying to, yes, exactly. Okay, thank you, Mike. It's been the deficit balance of the trade. Yes, exactly. So I think he wants to try and get these companies to start to even out the trade imbalance. That's the purpose of the tariffs.
Crow, is that for real, or are you just joking around here? That was genius. Trump endorsing Mark Carney, the liberal. Now liberals are switching to that. Can't be true. You have to be joking. I'm not in Canada. You know better than I. Webcoin here mentioning that NMAX options will be very expensive to start. Indeed. And actually, that again reminds me of Beyond Meat, because when those options came, the implied volatility was crazy. Also, Webcoin, I had highlighted CoreWeave's options here today. We were talking with Anne Marie yesterday. We're both kind of surprised that they actually already had options. Wow, they've actually gone up. The April implied volatility in the April expiry on CoreWeave is 191.89%. 191. I think that was like 119 this morning. And that's gone up. The May is up there at 154% implied volatility. So to your point there, they are absolutely going to be expensive. That's what we've seen with CoreWeave here, and that's what we've seen in the past with Beyond Meat as well.
Jay Rice, with respect to what the tariffs, what's this you're referring to? Because we're being very general about this.
Yeah,
Too.
I think what Jay's trying to say here is that he's basically trying to turn this more into a private sector economy than a government-based economy.
Oh, okay.
Is that a fair? I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth. I'm just trying to help speed it up. Jay, let me know if I got that right there.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to accomplish with Doge. Well, in part, I mean, like I said, we're being very general here, and there's a lot of moving parts of what is trying to be accomplished. Yeah. And we're not going to gum up the entire stream here with, just discussing that when there's money to be made in this market.
Okay, Jay here saying can't answer that. We'll have to see what happens, or we'll have to see where the stock is. I got to think they are going to issue options for that, right? I guess maybe I just assume y'all know what happens when you do that, but good point here. Okay.
Sweet one. So with the special elections that we had yesterday, my understanding is Florida won both districts on the Republican side, but Wisconsin, the election for a judge, they didn't win that one.
Yeah, so it's no change.
Right.
So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think any of those swung. Right. I don't think that there's a change in any of those. Ryan, this is the tariffs in a sound effect: a bomb whistle followed by a Wilhelm scream followed by a small fart. I don't think that's the route we're going to go. STFU.
CNTM is starting to really come back in here. It looks like it's going to have a date with the 65 EMA at some point. That's down at 80 cents. So I forget who exactly said it, but it seems like that offer may have been rejected. I think you're right about that. Maybe we do get another pop-up, try to get back up to 135, but we'll see if that even happens or if it even is successful. SPWH, Sportsman's Warehouse, that's still looking pretty good. Still hanging out above its VWAP, but the volume really has come down. And look, we are at 1031. So the expectation of volume being in a lot of these names should have left your mind.
And while that's happening, SPY is printing a new high. 561 now. 563 was that spot we really wanted to look at. 561 now.
T-Tech just broke 5. It's trying to take out the wall of sellers at 510.
I took my eye off this one. Sorry about that. Good call, 13.
No worries. Soundhound, the high is 867. That's just 8 cents away from that resistance area at 875. So, the volume is starting to get even lower in this one. MACD is indicating there may be some rolling over starting. Just be careful with Soundhound. It's had a great day. Don't give back what you just gained. Looks like Hood getting some pretty good support from its VWAP. That one's trying to turn around as well. The session high for this one is 43.15. Looks like SPWH and Hood are both trying the same form the same pattern here and trying to go take out their highs. SPWH, much less volume though. Be careful with that one.
Uber continuing to push to highs here. GM actually looks like that might try and test 48.
Yeah, a lot of these names that were really good seem to be slowing down or done with their move for now. Yeah, sweet one. They vote with their wallets. They think with their wallets. So the economy, I agree with that.
EIX calls.
Yeah,
I'm seeing. Wow, this EIX 13. Look at this. This actually kind of looks like this might be trying to break out from 60 here. EIX. Those calls, by the way, were the 45. This might be a profit taking. Those calls were the 45 calls that expire in October.
I wasn't the only one saying that.
No, you weren't.
Breakout of 53 was the 53 level. That was the level that we needed to get over, and we blasted over it on February 28th, and since then have not looked back. That was the level. I said it. I think Lion said it. There were some other folks that may have said it as well. But 53, that was the breakout level from this massive downside move here on the fires in California. That was probably one of the greatest. I mean, Lion nailed this trade when I was mentioning this could go down. He took, I think he took puts.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. Anyway, interesting to see it there on the unusual option scanner.
So let's see. Ford is getting back into double digits.
Oh, no way.
Oh, no way. It's a casual low. How about that?
Well, I mean, it's just we check Ford so much. It's really struggles.
Yeah, and ever since the news of tariffs, it just has not traded very well.
Yep.
Also hasn't been reporting too many good earnings.
No, it has not.
It is. I need to see a little bit more price action, but if this comes down to 950 again and rebounds off that, we may have an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming on our hands here.
Yeah. Anyone a buyer of Eli Lilly if this comes into 750-ish? Just wondering, just kind of thinking out loud. Thinking more about long-term things that I'd like to add if the market does in fact come in.
Oh, more banks.
More banks, as Tim was saying. Fubo calls. Anyone trading Fubo? Yeah.
So let's see here. What's
Didn't look all that great.
Because Netflix has been interesting for me because I've mentioned that I wanted to see this. Well, not wanted, but I was expecting this one to turn bearish because of the formation it's been putting in here ever since November 5th, really. Ever since November 5th, it just kind of started trading into this head and shoulders type pattern. And we may be getting some more of that. I'm looking for this thing to go under 900 and maybe go as low as 700 at some point.
Nope, no Lilly till advertising comes back. RFK will cease ads, he said. So you don't like any of that. Hims and Lilly teamed up yesterday. That ought to be a good partnership. Hims was actually on the movers list here this morning, was really trading down here in the pre-market. Still hasn't gone green. Still down 3.5% here. Hims did have that huge spike yesterday intraday that Big Abees was talking about.
Looks like CNTM is trying to defend a dollar. WTF still making new lows with downside halts.
Best value area for me with Lilly until 700, says Anne-Marie. Amanda, too much uncertainty in the healthcare space for me. I do like Eli Lilly. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that totally. Healthcare and the individual stock. Quick checking in the heat map here. It's just relatively mixed.
Oh, wow. Have you seen Novo lately? NBO?
No, let me go back to it here. I don't really look at Novo very often. What happened? Oh, wow. It got destroyed.
Yeah, this is probably one of the greatest resolutions of a head and shoulders.
Head and shoulders. Yeah, I was just seeing that.
Yeah. So if there was going to be maybe a large biotech or pharmaceutical company to play, this could be interesting because remember, this has an alcohol disorder angle, for treating alcoholism. So that could be really interesting for this company. And I know that RFK is big on that. This thing, massive death cross back in October. I don't know where the bottom is on this, but I would expect there to be some support coming just under $60 between let's call it 46 and 50. I'm sorry, 46 and $60. That range there from about August to August of 2021 to October of 2022. A lot of sideways price action there where we could finally see a bottom. in NVO.
And that going back to about middle of 2021, your volume point of control there,
wow.
right there at 52.89, pretty much right in the middle of what you were just saying. RL wants to take a look at BABA. Zoom in here. Sorry about that. BABA just down 1.74% here. Doesn't really seem like a lot is going on here with Alibaba. What did you want to look at? What was this? What was the context here? RL, help me out a little bit. Looks like this is a nothing burger today.
So,
we're still in between this range here, still above the 50. Sorry, 13.
No, it's do you have another chart of BABA that has a trend line on it? Because I think we did draw one, and if you don't, we can just.
Yeah, no, it probably got erased.
So if you, it's a shorter trend line, not one that from years ago, but just from last year.
From May 2024.
Yep, May 2024 up through October last year, and up through the highs that we were doing this year.
There it is.
That's the trend line that's providing some resistance. So I'd be watching that for a break. I thought we were going to get a break, last month when it continued to hammer it, but it didn't break out. So now I'd be more concerned. Lost the 20-day SMA. We lose the 50. I think we're going to see some pretty substantial downside in BABA. Okay. I'm just looking around and seeing what's happening here. It looks like T-Tech still trying to hang out above 5. SPWH almost got up. I think it may have actually gotten right up to the highs that it put in earlier of 185. Yep, it did. And so we could be viewing this as a potential double top unless it makes a higher print than 185 soon.
Market here holding near highs, might be trying to go higher.
What's the float on VMAR? Let's see here. Vision Marine Technologies. I have a float reading of 975K, so just under 1 million shares. This thing is tearing right now.
It's halted.
Yeah. What happened with this today? So they had some kind of showcase, stock splits maybe. They just did a 10-for-1 reverse stock split on last Thursday. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot of other news other than a demonstration of Form 10. And they face a lawsuit over stock conversion. I don't think that's really anything we need to worry about. All right, so yeah, VMAR halted, WTF halted, IBG halted.
Did we get any of those other IPOs yet? Top W? Nope, not yet. And then SMA was the other one. Smart? Nope. No new IPOs yet today. Or at least not the ones that we were looking for.
T-Tech printed a new high, 513 now. These movers feel very sluggish right now. A lot of stuff just doesn't look like it's really moving a lot at all. And if it is, it's going to get halted.
Yep.
Looks like VMAR is open now.
You're welcome, Ed. Thanks for hanging out. Looks like this is going to halt here again at 8:55.
You might be right. It's looking like it is. No.
It's got a hold here. There it is, halted.
Yep. All right, so let's see. That's 8:55. Now this thing looks like it's gone through a number of reverse splits, not just the one we had. Okay, so if this continues with this kind of volume, I could point out some stupid levels in VMAR, but I don't even know if we're going to get that. But all the stupid levels I have are over $10. So if it gets over $10, I'll start putting those out there. But until then, I don't even know if we'll get that. CNTM trying to get back, or it held above $1, trying to recapture VWAP. Looks like some of this upside momentum in the market has slowed down significantly. What are you seeing, Ryan?
Rocket new highs, SPY holding up near the highs, but relatively light on opportunities.
Yeah.
X-Sniper asking, what are the IPOs here today? These are the upcoming IPOs. SZZL, I guess SZZLU, that should be the units for that, but SZZL, Top W, SMA, and OMSE. Going to be your IPOs here today, courtesy of the Benzinga Pro Morning Report. Time for go take a walk / hug your family time. Indeed. Yeah. Always time for that. Smoke Tuna wants me to look at a chart of Cassie, C-A-S-Y, this is Casey's General Stores. I hear they have good pizza. Anyone confirm that? Look at the chart of Cassie. What a beauty of a monthly. Oh my gosh, you're not kidding, Smoke Tuna. Look at this.
Huh. This has just kind of gotten better and better as time's gone on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, what's the story with this one?
Casey's serves as the nation's third largest convenience store chain. 2,900 locations, primarily positioned in the Midwest United States.
Rural towns. This is like another Dollar General type trade.
How's Dollar General doing there? I actually didn't check that now that I'm out of it. Dollar General 89.
Tapped 90 this morning.
Sure did.
Yeah, that actually means that we hit the 200-day, I believe.
I think.
Yeah, we did.
So we tapped it and stayed right beneath it. Okay.
Yeah.
That trade was so good.
The high. I mean, if I'm being super technical, we were just shy of it, but because the actual value of the 200-day SMA is $90.31, and our high today is $90.24. So just missed it by about 7 cents, but I'll call it close enough. I think we're going to get rejection initially here of the 200-day SMA, which would be fine because this thing is pretty extended. I'd like to see this cool off a bit, come down into the 85 area, and then later on make another move that takes us through the 200. That'd be ideal to me.
Izzy, volume on the SPY here today, 12.48 million so far.
I'm trying to think if that's about where we've been seeing it lately or if that's higher. And it seems that it's about where we've been seeing it.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems in line to me, 13. Looking at the chart here, it kind of seems that way.
It's like Buc-ee's, says Sweet One. I mean, if it is, those gas stations must be large. Is it a large gas station too? Do they have beaver nuggets? I have to know.
What on earth are beaver nuggets?
Do they have brisket sandwiches?
I know what that is.
Yeah, no. Buc-ee's will sell all kinds of stuff.
Hey, Fairchild, love Casey's Pizza. So I don't think I've ever had it, but my buddy in Iowa says the same thing. Says it's pretty good. I guess it's hard to tell the Chicago guy that some convenience store pizza is pretty good, but it is what it is.
It just reminds me of a whole conversation about deep dish. Getting a mention of Rigetti, RGTI.
Yeah, the quantum names, they're moving here today. IONQ, the strongest of those.
Yeah, beaver nuggets, they are good. Lunar has had a very nice day, but I still feel like they're a PR-driven hype company. Well, they're not. They're getting real contracts from NASA. They've been sending real spacecraft up to the moon. Their real spacecraft just has not been making real good landings. The stock would be doing so much better if they haven't had back-to-back issues with their moon landings. So I don't necessarily think that they're dependent on PR. They move better on their PR announcements, but we know about some of these things that are coming. because we've been following the news on them, and NASA announces what contracts they're going to be issuing to ahead of who they're issuing to.
Jay, really quickly here, I started reading Jay's comment and I got to, I bought WTF at 24 and I stopped reading, and this was all I could think in my head.
You are fake news.
There's no chance that Jay Rice bought WTF in the after hours. Then I kept reading and he confirmed that for me. Real quick, by the way, CoreWeave, we talked about that really trading up to 64. The options were great there. Those 60 calls, I think, that you guys were looking at, this has come back in pretty substantially.
Yep.
Russ, what do you got, my guy?
I'm just not really liking the way a lot of these are trading right now.
Nope.
Maybe CNTM if it can recapture its VWAP, but I just don't have a lot of conviction on any of these movers right now. The one trade I had is still the only trade of the day for me, and I'm not upset about that.
VPG here, Vishay Precision Group. This is popping. I'm seeing, I can't confirm it here in the newsfeed, but I'm seeing that this is on a Citron long.
That was
VPG. I'll try and get my news desk to confirm that for us.
PG. Let me see what's going on with this. And what does this company do? Electronics, sensors, sensor-based measurement systems. Do they have any exposure to autonomous vehicles? That's what I'd be wondering.
Izzy, the calls for Fubo were all the 250 strike, varying expiries, all in 2026. So there were 4 sweeps here, 500 contracts per leg, all in the 250 strike, spread out to next year. Looks like the January contract and the February contract. Ryan, what's your opinion on Wisconsin pizza? Okay, so I haven't had much of it, but there is a place in Sister Bay, Door County, that has unbelievable pizza. I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to have to look it up, but it was so good. And they hated me when I went in there because I paid with my Cubs debit card at the time, and they were all Brewers fans. So I made enemies real quick. But the pizza there was phenomenal. And as you already know, the Wisconsin cheese curds, unreal. So my experience is small, but good, Russ.
So VPG, this is the sensors that they make are actually more for weighing and measuring, not so much detecting things. So this may be a play on like freight transportation. I don't know much about this company, so I'm just kind of going off what I'm just reading right now. But it seems like that's what this company does. It makes sensors for weigh stations and whatnot.
Okay.
Nice move through the 200-day SMA though.
No, Jacob Barrett was not Little Caesars. It was not Little Caesars. Actually, I had one of my friends ban Little Caesars from his house because he lived next to one or close to one, and people that would come over and hang out, especially if they were coming over to enjoy some adult beverages, they would pick up Little Caesars and Crazy Bread, and he could not get the smell out. It was just so overpowering. He eventually was like, look, guys, you can't bring that over here anymore. Rather amusing. All right, folks, we got 8 minutes left here, but we are going to be going to story trading next. So be sure to stick around for that.
Hopefully they'll have a better story than what I've got here, because this story right now for me is just kind of watching what the market's doing.
Hey, we've had a couple of stories here, though. Honestly, I know we're all kind of, well, maybe not all of us, but I know we're sitting on our hands for the most part right now. We did talk earlier about where to go in case the market does turn bearish. So we've been kind of preparing with some of the dividend stocks there, and we're just kind of waiting for the big announcement later today. So I don't really think that there's anything, don't feel like you have to do something. Make it make sense. Don't just sporadically do stuff. Not on a day like today, anyway.
Yep, there are a lot of good opportunities for getting into some of these dividend-paying stocks. We might have an even better opportunity later, but I did do some nibbling earlier this week, just because we were down at the lows of the year again. So thought, why not pick up some pieces of some names I want to be in, but not going to really be doing any large amounts of buying until we get a better idea of where this market's going to go. Because I still think we're going to see some lower prints.
Yeah, quantum vortex. The guys were talking about euros yesterday, and I really wanted euros, and now we're talking about pizza, and lo and behold, I want pizza. Fasting. The toughest part is in the morning. Right here. Toughest part is in the morning. Eventually you get to a spot where it's like you catch your second wind. But right now, you guys are talking about all this delicious food. I'm sitting on my hands. Man, I could go for all that right now.
Yeah, talk about brisket sandwiches and beaver nuggets. Oh, man.
I don't even know what that is.
I will have to send you a Buc-ee's care package. Just box a whole bunch of stuff up and send it your way.
Not going to fight you. Not going to fight you on that for sure.
It'll be educational.
Question of the day, Ryan, did you get euros yesterday? I almost called them gyros. No, I did not. I opted to go the smarter route. I had an RX bar, protein bar, and a cup of coffee. And I had Italian for dinner.
Thoughts on DUK, Duke Energy? Mo, I own this. I've owned this for a while. I think this is one of the greatest utility companies to own. Pays a dividend. It's not a massive dividend like some of these other energy names pay, but still very stable. Great company. I like it long term. Think you might get a better opportunity getting it cheaper another time. I don't see. I've owned this for a while. I have this under triple digits. So I really can't tell you when the best time to buy is. But for me, this is getting this has been taking off. Since the start of last year, and it hasn't really pulled back a whole lot. So I'd want to see cheaper prices for entry if I was going to be taking a position in this. But that's just me. I still think this company is great. I think it's going to do well. Just would have to wait for this to cool off before you jumped in it. That's all. Yeah, and as SO is also good. Southern Energy, Southern company. I mean, utilities, industrials. They're going to be great names to be in if when the market's got a lot of uncertainty, is not sure where to put their capital. So defensive names like consumer staples and utilities, things like that are going to always end up getting a lot of attention in this kind of environment. But hey, you know what? You guys are talking about pizza. How's Domino's doing, by the way? DPZ, right?
DPZ.
No, that's kind of sideways.
How about PZZA? Papa John's doing much worse.
Yeah, as it should. This thing actually looks. This doesn't look good at all to me. This one looks like it wants to go lower. Maybe there's like a bounce that happens first and then it goes lower, but this is ugly looking to me.
Mike saying sit on hands till tomorrow. That does look like that's kind of what's going on. The good news here is that my account's nothing is really going wrong. Like I said, thankfully I positioned into some of those dividend stocks, so I'm all right. Get in there, 13.
I'm happy with the one trade I made. It was not bad at all. So I'm happy just sitting on my hands for the rest of the day, just being patient. I don't want to force anything, especially with today and what's happening after the market closes. Ivan, that's not a bad idea for Duke. But I think folks are going to have to make that determination on their own about where they want to enter, because I think it's gone on quite a run and it would need to cool off. But 105 does seem like a pretty good area. Rocket Lab is getting a little bit of a pop here too. Some of these, we're going to see a lot of these different names move. So don't listen to me anymore. We've got story trading coming up. They've got something for you folks, and I'm pretty much tapped out here today. I'm just going to sit on my hands.
Yeah. By the way, while we're doing that, though, while we're talking here, S&P 500 pushing to the highs again. So SPY highs here. We had talked earlier about some of the levels that we were looking at. That upside level 563, that is coming into play here. It looks like it might. All right, 13. We can go to story trading here. You got any wrap up here for the group?
All right, folks. Been fun morning with y'all, and hopefully we have another great one tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to get this afternoon, but we will figure it out, and we will trade some more. We won't lose any money. We'll just make it. So, folks, I will see you then. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and happy Liberation Day.
Okay, 13. I love how you're getting into it. Good stuff here today. We will see you tomorrow. There goes 13. Really good stuff from him. That's going to leave room. Let's go ahead and bring on those story trading guys. Ben, Rhett. Oh, wait. Nope. Someone turned it off. Ben, Rhett. I'm going to get this, guys. I'm going to get this. Don't worry. Here's Godfather. Here we go. How are you folks doing? Let's bring up the charts as well.
Yeah.
Happy Liberation Day to you. How you folks
doing? We're going to be liberated from all of our money. We won't have any left soon. It'll be great.
Okay. I hope that's not the case. It doesn't seem to be the case here for our group yet. So hopefully that's not how it materializes. What do you got?
Doing well. Thank God. I made a little adjustment this week in my trading strategy, and it's paying dividends. I got sidetracked with my approach when we started getting all this market volatility. Ryan, I got sucked into trading SPY and QQQ and UVXY and just the intraday volatility. I got sucked into trading that intraday volatility, and I didn't do well at all on it at all. It's not I don't do that, right?
Yep.
I'm an analyst. I look at news and I make predictions of where stock will go based on the news, if it's good news or bad news, and I come up with like re-rating price targets. That's what I do. That's what I'm really successful at. And I got sucked into this volatility because it just seems so easy. It's like, oh my God, you're down so much. I just got to find the low, get in, and then make a lot of money. And I just gave up on it. I decided I'm not good at it. And I gave up on it yesterday morning. And I've just been doing great since then. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe the market's been great since yesterday. I don't know. But I'm very happy with kind of finding my focus of what I'm good at here. So
you're a trader, so I think that you and me both don't believe in coincidences. I think that was probably a good decision. For the record, I gave up the volatility trade years ago, donated more than my fair share of money to the volatility fund. So I'm with you on that one. All right, guys, have a good show here. Enjoy, and I'll see you in about 30 minutes.
Thanks. Appreciate All right. Great. Having a good morning here, man. A lot of things working out. First, a little comment on the SPY. We saw the signs of it yesterday, really over the last 2 days, this kind of thought process developing that on Liberation Day, there's going to be finality, right? That people will know exactly what they're dealing with and the market will go up. It seems that's what the market wanted to do, all right? It still seems to be that's what the market wants to do. Now, I have no idea what's going to be announced. Right after the show, 11:30 a.m., there's going to be a preview of what's going to be announced in the daily press conference of Carolyn Levitt. So we'll switch to TV cable news right after this to see what's up there. And then 4 p.m. is the Rose Garden address. But it seems that the market wants any excuse to rally right now. That's what it seems like. And I'll get into the individual stocks in a bit, but I've been doing pretty well here since yesterday. We'll talk about a few of those. Rhett, Godfather, any comments on the macro there and what we're getting here for Liberation Day?
From my standpoint, I'm really torn. There's two ways to go here. I do think that the one thing that really stands out to me today is volatility seems underpriced. I think this view that we're going to get some resolution today, just like we get, past our Fed decision and, we get a volatility crush once we get past the event happens and it lifts all boats. I'm a little unclear about whether that's going to happen. I mean, Trump's sowing uncertainty is by design. It's part of his negotiating tactic. And, here's what I think is going to happen based on what we know about the way he conducts himself, right? Is, number one, they're going to come out strong. They're going to come out at a pretty high tariff level. It's probably going to be more than, just the dirty 15 countries that have been highlighted. And then, you're going to see retaliation. We saw some headlines out of Europe saying, we're going to have a strong response. Then you're going to see some, escalation from some countries. You're also going to see some concessions from some countries, right? We saw that from Mexico yesterday. There's a headline, Scheinbaum saying, hey, we'll give up, drug trafficker names, whatever you want.
Something just came out right before the show from Mexico. This came out 10:57 a.m. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum just said will not impose tit for tat tariffs.
Right. So, country by country, the responses are going to be different, right? And, we saw the thing, I know it's a small trade partner, but you highlighted it, Israel wiping out all tariffs against US goods. So, it's going to come out either way. But this idea that we're going to get past it by the end of today, I'm not sure that's the case. And it's, how long does it stay in terms of hanging over the market is anybody's guess. But
yeah, I mean, it could be. I'm leaning toward. We have no idea. We have no idea what it's going to say, right? But I think there's the potential there for it to be interpreted as positively as possible and get a little bit of a rally, and then maybe that's it. Then we head into earnings season, and then the earnings season, the guidance, that's going to tell the tale of what happens next.
Yeah, this is the thing. Where does the market turn its attention to next when it's not focused on headlines coming out of tariffs? And I think you're right. The market will focus on what it always focuses on, which are the two things: the path of interest rates and the path of earnings. And here's the other thing, and I put this out in our Discord last night, sort of responding to a query about where we go from here in terms of the markets. And I think there's a case to be made that the market does see through the weakness in Q1 and say, okay, look, there was just a lot of corporate uncertainty. The economy is still okay. We're seeing some relatively strong numbers, at least in the hard data so far. There's a debate about how much we see, of the soft data, creeping into those hard numbers. There is a Fed put, there is a Trump put. We're going to get in the second half of the year, and we're going to see these things from the Fed, from the new administration that are going to be stimulative to the economy. And the market could start focusing on that and say, Q1 is just going to be a blip. And yeah, it's all going to be a bit weak, but, we're only going to see, X percent, increase or decrease in earnings. And here's the other thing. Everybody's focused on trade because it's in the headlines right now. But keep in mind that it's only 15% of the economy. Trade is only 15% of the economy. And in terms of GDP, even worst case scenarios are like 0.3% of GDP in terms of growth one way or another. So interest rates at the end of the day still have a bigger impact. And, the biggest impact on equities is always corporate earnings at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm surprised to see volatility do nothing but head south this morning. And I've been sitting on my hands today. I don't think it's a day to do a whole lot. You can certainly get, completely whipsawed because nobody knows what's going to happen. And in an environment like that, I would expect to see volatility higher. On Fed rate days, going into Fed, decision days, even when there's some, you usually have a pretty clear direction of what the Fed's going to do. Volatility is higher than it is today at a time.
Hold on.
High a day. You see that, Ben?
My sell order, I think, just went through here on SPWH. Should it go through? This has been trading this in our Discord all morning. Nice. 196. I'm out at 190. I'm completely out at 196. So, you want to finish up those thoughts, and then I'll talk about.
No, look. The summary is I'm surprised that volatility is as low as it is. And the only thing I've really done today, kudos to you on the SPH. It's a great trade. And we'll talk about that in a sec. As I've been adding a little bit of volatility here because I'm net long the market. So it's a hedge. But yeah, short-term trades. Yeah, great job getting success on a day like today is no mean feat.
I think someone did call options on SPWH. I would have not have recommended that, but these are up a couple 100%. Anyway, SPWH, we've been trading this all morning. I've been trading it. I bought it as low as $1.23. Just sold some up here. I'm all out now at $1.96. And this is just a earnings re-rating play. I like the earnings report. I listened casually to the conference call, and listened to every detail. I liked what I heard, and then they got an upgrade this morning from Craig Hallam saying significant upside potential, upgrading from a hold to a buy with a $3 price target. So this has been my main play of the day, out right now at $1.96, and I think I will look for re-entries, maybe a possibility of that 200 DMA today at $2.20. So that was a big success story here for us today. Another one, RCAT. Yesterday, I alerted this after the earnings report the day prior, gave a positive, interpretation of that earnings report, went into a deep dive on the catalysts that are coming up and some of the sentiment discussed on that call. and I gave a price target of 714 to 726. It hit 720 this morning. I wish I did larger size on this. I had a relatively small size, but I saw some people make money in our community of that. So 2 big wins there in our community the last 2 days on RCAT and SPWH, and great teamwork on, I guess, I'm sure you got all out at a good level. WTF. Yesterday, we were all over this from early. Big kudos to Rhett for putting this on my radar and actually tweeting out on the Story Trading account early in the morning yesterday. Will WTF like be the next NMAX? And that was on my radar. And really funny story here. I was like looking at NMAX, the day prior, and the whole day I was like, what the, I was cursing, like, what the F, right? I had no idea the next day there was going to be an IPO with those initials, WTF. And it was just too perfect. I'm like, everyone's going to buy WTF after, IPO sentiment turned on its head because CoreWeave was really bad last week. So people are like, oh, IPOs are dead. Then Newsmax comes out, does this crazy what the F thing. And then, like, of course, everyone's going to buy what the F. So I got in at 560, averaged up a little bit at like $7. And then we had exits all the way up here, as you had the best exit, Godfather, at 2740 or something last night. So great teamwork there. I assume you sold everything in pre-market from that pullback purchase at 13.
Yeah, when I got up this morning and I could start trading in pre-market, I sold my small position I accumulated in the after hours at 1894. And I've just been watching it cascade all the way down to 7. It looks like we're seeing a bit of a curl here, actually. I actually just thought, and again, I'm doing this in super small size, which is why, I don't mind, holding overnight, which seems like a suicidal thing to do. And it could certainly have been, but it was so small that I wouldn't care about it either way. But I actually just re-entered here at 936, just because I'm seeing a curl on NMAX. And it seems to have gotten out of this, halting every 30 seconds, which makes it impossible to trade. So
there's definitely opportunities in both of these still.
There's not a lot of fat pitches in a market like today when you can get whipsawed at any moment. So if you are day trading today, do it a fifth of your normal size. Do yourself a favor. You could have a hard time.
I am, speaking of these IPOs, I'm waiting for Top W. I haven't done this research myself, but apparently people in our Discord saying it's the same underwriters and similar structure as these last 2. Maybe I'll pick up just, lunch money shares on Top W here when it opens today. As far as the IPO goes, I also want to mention CoreWeave, which, wow, what a turnaround, from a bad IPO to just absolutely exploding yesterday, up another 4% today. So I've been playing a sympathy play in NBIS, which I'm up on just modestly because I did it with common shares and options. But what's your take on this? Because you brought NBIS to our community. You're the expert here on CoreWeave and NBIS. And do you see this as an opportunity? Does NBIS need to catch up now that CoreWeave finally has had a good reaction to its listing?
So unlike you, I haven't been trading here. I hold NBIS in my long-term account, obviously. I'm kind of the view that when we come out of this weakness in the market, this which started by material repositioning of overlongs by hedge funds, long onlys, and retails. Everybody was sort of overpositioned in the market, especially in these growth trades. Eventually, when things stabilize, the defensive nature of big cap tech will come back to the surface again. First of all, they're not that impacted when it comes to tariffs relative to others. They're not that impacted when it comes to potential stagflationary environment. And number 3, AI trade, especially the hardware side, does not seem to be dead. There hasn't been material changes to CapEx budgets of the Mag 7 names. We saw that quote out of OpenAI's basically saying, hey, Sam Altman saying, hey, if you can get us 100,000 plus GPU cluster, we'll take it. We're looking to add capacity as much and as fast as we can. So I think the trade returns in terms of leadership in this market to those big cap names and the AI trade. That theme I don't think is going away. I think it's a beta theme. You just need people willing to throw money back at growth names. That's still the biggest growth story in the market. So this core wave turnaround caught me off guard because, like you said, the negativity couldn't have been greater on that IPO. I think this is a fantastic level for NBIS from a fundamental standpoint. It's a question of when, not if, this returns to valuation levels that it deserves, which I think start with a 4, potentially a 5. I've been saying in our Discord that I expect this in the 5 to 6 handle range before year end. And, part of that hinges on the backdrop of the market, right? Because it's not just about the earnings or revenue potential. It's about, the multiple that the market will ascribe to it. So we need that kind of growth market to get back up there. But I've been remiss to trade it just because I'm trying to do less until we get some more certainty in the market. But if there's a thing to do here, I think it's to DCA into a long-term position. And potentially there's some short-term trade opportunities as well, but I'm just not taking them because
I do.
I want to put that money at risk.
I also do have that NBIS in my long-term account. How about CoreWeave? Is that something you want to pick up in your long-term account?
My view is that NBIS is the better way to play it. A lot less debt. I think the expectations are a lot lower. I think it's going to be the sleeper win of the group.
Awesome.
CoreWeave is run by a group of investment bankers. NBIS is run by a group of software and hardware engineers.
Yeah, my AI plays are NBIS, TSSI, and NVIDIA. Those are the 3 AI plays I have. Oh, I also have Snowflake if you want to consider that AI. People are saying that's the next thing. So that's my exposure there. I don't have any CoreWeave either. Rhett, let's kick it over to you. Any thoughts on all the craziness here in our community the last couple of days?
Morning, Ben. Well, first one was WTF. That was a great call out. I actually got alerted from one of our members, so it pays me an interactive, collaborative community. So there's a few people that brought it to our radar. And then as soon as it IPO'd, actually, I forgot, I think it was Texas Trades or something brought it to our attention. So then I tweeted about it right after that. And I mean, that tweet was in the 4s when we put it out there. So that was a very timely alert. So
I missed it. I can't catch all the messages in the Discord. So glad you saw that and posted about it. I got in at 5.6 after the first halt. I bought it. I bought it right when it unhalted at 560, and that was my best trade in like a month, to be honest with you. Really needed that to turn things around. So awesome alert.
And then as for today and like what I'm looking at today, I haven't taken any trades yet. I'm taking it light, sitting on the sidelines, and I'm waiting for everything to unfold with this Liberation Day and see which direction we start.
I'm with you on that, Rhett.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I mean, that's really as far as what we're doing right now. Look, I'm looking at this SPWH, and I got so much FOMO on this, man. I made good money on it today, but it looks like I really think if it breaks 2, if SPWH breaks 2, it's heading to 220. I'm not going to chase it. Just going to pray for another drop. We'll see if that happens. So let me just scroll down here and see what else.
And then another thing I want to mention too that I found interesting is with Tesla. Just with their delivery numbers,
that's pretty good with that bad delivery number, isn't it?
I thought it would be down significantly more with those results. So I was caught off guard when I was looking at those.
I had a thought because this is, I think, right now my second largest position in my retirement account, and I had a thought when I saw that. I'm like, maybe I should reduce a little bit. I didn't. Maybe I should. Only it's because I guess I think it was kind of expected. Now I guess Dan Ives put that note out that we expected bad deliveries, but not this bad. Something's got to change right now. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should sell some. I haven't sold yet. I'm trying to stick with my ultra long-term outlook on Tesla. This is in my retirement account, and I'm just trying to not get shaken out because you know what? Over a very long time frame, I can't tell you how many stocks I was in. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. That if I just held through the doubt and the volatility, how many 100 baggers I would have had, or at least 50 baggers, So I'm trying to think long term since it is in the long term account and think about Optimus and full self drive and look at this.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, if you're thinking of Tesla long term, I mean you have to think about that energy and all the other aspects of the business
robo taxi.
Exactly, not just delivery numbers.
that robo-taxi seems to be the big one that people are focused on near term that can kind of maybe make up for some of these delivery numbers. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to keep my position. And that's a good point. Someone just put in the chat. Once Elon returns to Tesla, the stock will recover. I mean, the stock's already recovered nicely. I mean, look, it went all the way down to 217. We're up at 270. I mean, it's already had a nice recovery. And oh, right, this recovery is because of the auto tariffs. I think that's what took this leg up. Right, it's going to disproportionately benefit Tesla. So it's still holding those gains from the auto tariffs right now.
You have SPWH, by the way, touching 2.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have so much FOMO on this, man. Let's see. I bought 10,000 shares at $1.23. If I just held those shares and did nothing else, I would have been better off than the trading I've been doing all day. In and out, in and out. But it's tough to, how are you going to hold? In this market, you get like a scalp win. I've had probably 4, 5, 6 scalps around and made good money. But how do you hold from $1.23 all the way to 2 in this market? Not easy to do. I'm just hoping for another big leg down. To get in one more time, let me just see. There was a couple other things I think worthy of bringing up. Let's scroll down here. I'm still holding ASTS. Kind of, I want to say stuck a little bit because I have this in my trading account in pretty good size, and it's been down significantly last week or two. But I've been selling covered calls weekly on this and also selling puts, which a put to me would increase my position. So a little bit of risk in that. But by collecting all those premiums, I've been largely able to dull the effect of this drop down. In fact, I have to go back and do the math. I may have completely made up for this loss by selling all those options. The premiums are so expensive in ASTS. So I've been targeting that as a stock to sell options on because of the high premiums and because the
Whoa, someone just said Trump said Musk will step back from current role in coming weeks.
Oh,
this came out just now?
That's why Tesla just
Tesla.
looked green. You know what? There it is.
Oh,
Honestly,
there it is.
I have
is
to
that
tell
the
you.
news we needed?
Hold on.
Right now, as we're talking about it.
Oh, I have to tell you, I'm gonna buy something. I have to play this.
TSLL calls.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm buying TSL calls right now. How do you read my mind?
Some at 11. The 11 calls for this week.
You go for the 11. I'm going for the 1050 this week. I have to do it. That's a big catalyst.
Small size.
Let me throw this to the top of my list. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we got some TSLL calls over here. We'll see how many percent can this go. Let's look at the technicals here. Can we make a move to the 200 DMA at 288? I would say probably not. Yesterday's high of day was 277. I think that's a fair target to shoot for, up at 277. But this is a very important catalyst. Okay, so I'll have to look at.
It's taking everything up. It's taking the whole market. Everything that's beta is going north on this move. I bought some TSLL here too. Yeah. I bought the comment.
Interesting. All right, good news. Thanks for that alert, Rhett. Pretty cool.
I think that was actually Ryan that gave us that alert. It says host. So
nice.
It's not me.
Oh, where do you see it? In the chat?
In the chat, yeah. I've just been.
Hosts. Trump said Musk will. So thank you, Ryan, for that alert from Politico. Beautiful. All right, so TSLL calls, fun. 11:22 a.m. Look at that. Should we just look at Tesla the rest of the day here? Rest of the 10 minutes we have, 8 minutes. Let's see how much those TSLL calls are doing. How are you doing on those TSLL calls now?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm up over. Looks like 16% at the moment.
Nice.
Over 20.
TSLL. I'm up 10%. I only got a 0.5% allocation, so I'm not gonna get rich from this, and I'm not gonna get poor from it. What's that?
Said they're moving nicely now, 26%.
Let's see, I got in at 66 cents or 82 cents. Not bad. I think I might just keep this for. Let it marinate a little bit. Let this marinate for a half hour. See what happens. That's news everybody wanted. Right after Dan Ives asked for it this morning on X. So
I don't know. I still am not going to be too greedy in this market. I may take some off.
What levels do you see on the TSLA chart?
Tesla, you have yesterday's high and then the 200 DMA. Those are the levels I'm looking at. So 277.45. Yeah, which coincides with here around 278. So like 277 to 278, and then the 200 DMA at 288. Those are the two levels I'm looking at. Does that make sense, right? What are you looking at for that?
Yeah, I'm looking at. Hold on, I want to look at Tesla first because that's where I'll get better levels.
Gosh,
and
I'm
I
gonna
can
get
gauge
so
from
much.
DSLR.
I'm gonna get so much FOMO from XPWH. Broke $2. It's heading to that 200 DMA. This is.
I agree with Ben. I think we could head to in the 280s on this
It's
news.
going. SPWH is going to 220. Damn it! Oh, I knew it was going to 220. Oh my gosh, I can't chase it now. I made my money this morning, but
Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy.
I can't.
Yeah.
This
Don't
is it.
chase,
That's it.
don't
That's
chase.
such an obvious place. If you're in it, right there, 218. Get the hell out. In fact, I'm putting in my Discord. SPWH, get out here if still in at 220 now. Okay, let me just tag everyone. That was beautiful. Okay, so what? Let's see what's going on. Oh man. Oh, that could have been a gigantic winner, but whatever. I made a few $1,000 on SPWH today. Can't complain. RCAT back at our target highs or at the 50 DMA. Is this because the market's surging right now? What's going on? What happened?
I think so. Everything.
Yeah.
If you look at the timing of the green candles, they're all the same.
Yeah, it's all coinciding.
So everyone's excited. There may be another aspect to this, not just the quantitative impact Tesla has on the ETFs and the indices,
Look
but
at that.
there also
Market
may
is
be
flying on this news.
there also maybe there's less government cutting, right? If Elon Musk is going to step away from Doge, and maybe that's also helping. You guys are good. Thank you. You guys are good luck. Thank you, Katan. Katan, not my Q. All right. But in any case, SPWH, I gotta tell you. All right.
I got a sell order to sell the remaining of these contracts at 65. Let's see if it gets filled.
Let's see. Should I sell half of them? I don't know. I'm gonna let it ride a little bit. I'm gonna let this push a little bit. Okay, you know what? I'll just sell 5 of them. Every time you sell, you make me sell some, right?
Yeah, but it was good. Remember the last time?
I know. I know. That's why I'm selling some. That's why I got to listen to you a little bit. So I just sold 25% of my TSL calls up here for a small profit. Stocks turn higher on Wednesday ahead of Trump tariff announcement, says CNBC. I thought they were going to say because of Elon Musk stepping aside from Doge. I thought that was going to be the headline. I'm like, oh, they're fast. They got this social media thing down pat. Anyway, you know what? Let me just look because I do have 2 trade positions which have not been reacting yet in the last couple days. It's Kodak and Burna. Let me just talk about this. We got a couple minutes left. Burna moving. This is totally an industry move that's pushing it up because no one seems to care about Burna just yet. Earnings are next week. Both Godfather and I have a huge position in this. I think it's huge for you now. I've been seeing the average down, and I've also been adding. But anyway, Kodak. This is my optionality upside surprise pick out of nowhere that might just explode in the next week or so, and no one's talking about it, is Kodak. Kodak is such a great American company that's going to benefit so much from tariffs. They're already benefiting big from tariffs instituted in November by the Biden administration, but after the election, already benefiting big from these printing plate tariffs, and they can be poised to really benefit from pharmaceutical tariffs that Trump has teased that he wants to put in place. Why? Because Kodak is just about to start opening a pharmaceutical manufacturing facility. Look at ASTS at Hive Day. They're about to open a CGMP certified good manufacturing practice approved by the FDA facility to sell active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. It's something they've been working on since Trump 1.0 because of Trump's desire to move domestic manufacturing. Kodak said, okay.
All right, I'm out.
We'll do that. You're out of TSLO?
Yep, all out.
Okay.
Probably a stupid move, but
he said, okay, we'll do that. So Kodak poised to benefit if there's a tariff announcement on pharma. Enough people know about this story in Kodak. By the way, even without this, Kodak revenue is set to explode this year because of the other tariffs I just mentioned. All right. So a lot of good things. So Kodak, I'm
Not to
loaded
mention
up.
the delivering that's happening with the monetization of the pension fund.
And the pension fund, that's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars coming in for them to pay off a lot of their debt. Everything is flying. I'm getting crazy alerts right now. PDYN up 10%. Everything just exploding. The only option, I'm playing this I got NBIS working for me. But besides NBIS, and the TSLL calls, I haven't jumped on anything else, and maybe that's good. We'll just leave it at that. Look at market cap back to our target level. TSSI, something I flagged earlier about half an hour ago, that it was seeing some nice relative strength and a potential reversal candle. Look at this AI stock with a bullish engulfing candle back over the 200 EMA. Wow, that's beautiful. I gotta say, that's really nice on TSSI. This candle right here, it's tempting to. It's tempting to like go balls to the wall long right now, but we got this risk event still this afternoon. Yeah, it is tempting, I gotta say.
So I
I'm
gotta
still
ask.
on from the earnings there, waiting to get whole.
Hey Ryan, what's up?
Sorry, I gotta butt in here and ask: are you guys the new good luck charm? Is that what's going on here? Because like literally, we bring you guys on. We got Musk stepping away. We got Tesla ripping, SPWH ripping. I mean, what happened here? Are you guys the good luck charm? Man, I'm gonna be calling you on bad days.
Let's do it. I hope for the good luck charm. That'll be awesome.
Okay. Really good stuff here. You guys got any closing comments?
Closing comments is, you know what? My closing comment is never bet against America. This too shall pass, and somehow at the other end of it will come out stronger. And that's something I would have said even if Bernie Sanders was president.
I'm with you on that 100%. I'll just say it right here, Ben. I'm with you on that 100%. Don't ever bet against America. With you on that. Godfather, Rhett, any closing words for the group?
Two things. Number one, always hold some gold. I think it's going to continue to perform throughout the rest of this year. And number two, don't fall asleep on the biotechs. I know they're out of favor right now, but this is an overreaction, this change in FDA leadership.
Okay. Real good stuff here. It looks like our group here saying, yes, in fact, you guys are the good luck charm. So thank you for being our good luck charm here, folks. Story Trading Discord, check it out. 15% off. Gave you the QR code earlier. Guys, we'll see you next week. All right.
Thanks. Take care. Guys.
All right. That is Rhett, Ben, and the Godfather. Our good luck charms here at BZ. Absolutely getting it done. Folks, it's time for Futures Fever. We got a full day packed here today. It doesn't end right now. Sending you over to Kevin in Futures Fever.